Okay. It's... Hidden Gliz Village. We're back at it. Back at it like a crack addict. Back at it like a crack addict. Oi, oi, oi.
All right. Hi, everyone. Bad news. As some of you may remember, on this very channel months and months ago, I talked about one of our favorite platforms for streaming and purchasing music, supporting the underground and independent artists
Let's
that we
go.
know and love, Bandcamp.
Supporting
now, Bandcamp,
the artists,
per our last
supporting the
discussion
workers.
on the issue, as you guys may remember, was purchased at one point by Epic Games, who you might know for titles such as Fortnite, which honestly, for a lot of fans, was kind of confusing. What would Epic Games want with a platform like Bandcamp? Either way, platform got sold. There were a lot of concerns, a lot of worries in terms of what that would mean. Music, and especially indie music, isn't necessarily Epic Games' bag. And on top of it, Bandcamp has already proven on its own to be so self-sustaining and popular that, they might just kind of leave it alone and let it do what it naturally does. And for a while, it kind of seemed like that's what they were doing. There weren't any huge or massive changes to Bandcamp's functionality, their employee roster, so on and so forth. So again, for a sec, it just seemed like Epic Games was allowing Bandcamp to do Bandcamp. But then I guess eventually at one point they got tired of Bandcamp doing Bandcamp and wanted to sell it. They didn't even own this thing for 2 years, just bought it and then wanted to offload it. And honestly, when this announcement came down the pipe, part of me wondered, well, what if it gets sold off to a company or somebody who actually cares about music, cares about indie music? This could have ended up being a positive thing, given that, again, I think a lot of the indie-centric musicians that frequent the platform were kind of skeptical of a video game company owning it. But lo and behold, the platform gets sold off to Songtradr, a company in the music industry, and pretty much off the bat, they fire half the damn staff. It seems a great deal of those people were the platform's editorial staff, which, if any of you have been paying attention to what generally goes on Bandcamp, you know that countless independent songs and records are being uploaded there every day, and historically there's been a talented and tirelessly working editorial staff on the site, sifting through a lot of this stuff, writing about it, championing it, curating it, so that people like you and me can go on the platform and effectively find some cool new stuff. It was honestly one of the cooler aspects of Bandcamp's overall platform, and many veterans of the music writing world have found a home there over the years. Now that's essentially gone, flushed down the toilet, as these layoffs may devastate this side of the platform. Bandcamp United, the organization currently trying to unionize the platform, made a statement about this. I'm sure the company changing hands is going to reset a lot of their efforts, unfortunately. unfortunately. And to add this here, according to Discourse Online, the vast majority of these layoffs have impacted employees at Bandcamp who were union eligible. Songtradr itself has posted about the purchase, and I'm kind of surprised this isn't getting more backlash. But they begin with the post, "We appreciate the great response to the news of Bandcamp joining, not being purchased by, but joining Songtradr. What's here is not positive. Here are a few important things we want to emphasize about what will happen to Bandcamp. It's business as usual, because firing half the staff is business as usual. There will be no changes to existing services or the artist first revenue share. I mean, for now, we can only hope. Will the editorial side of the site even be functional at this point? Who knows? Will there still be Bandcamp Fridays? Definitely things to worry about and be concerned about potentially. And to add this here too, this makes me think back to the statement Epic Games made when they originally bought Bandcamp, saying things like the editorial functions of the site and Bandcamp Friday would pretty much go as is, and Songtradr thus far has made no such assurances. Now here's an interesting tweet. In the future, Songtradr will offer Bandcamp artists the ability and choice to opt into licensing their music. This will enable artists to continue to own and control their music rights and increase their earning capacity from Songtradr's global licensing network. Now, if you know anything about Songtradr, or if you do the least bit of research on them, you know that music licensing is pretty much all they do. That's literally the entire purpose of Songtradr. With that knowledge, it makes sense why Songtradr would buy Bandcamp, because Bandcamp also functions as this gigantic music library. Library of sorts. So of course they look at that and they're rubbing their hands and they're thinking like, oh man, all this music that could potentially be licensed for a myriad of different purposes. We could effectively work as the middleman here between loads of different licensing opportunities, which also explains why they would fire half the staff and a lot of the editorial staff, because they don't care about people writing cool think pieces and write-ups and doing listicles of various great projects and songs on Bandcamp. They just want to use the site as a goddamn music licensing junkyard, a music licensing chop shop, one-stop shop, where people looking to use music for samples or commercials, film, television, so on and so forth, can essentially pop in, use some kind of algorithmically enhanced search engine that will bring them to music they can license off of Bandcamp. And maybe the company has figured they can maximize profits being between these sorts of deals when they're working with a smaller artist and independent artist who is on their platform, as opposed to maybe a major label talent with some representation. So again, makes sense that Songtradr would do something like this and not Epic Games, because Epic Games isn't in that side of the music industry or the entertainment industry. They have fuck all to do with this. Meanwhile, Songtradr does, so that means they're just going to use Bandcamp to maximize the profits of what they already do and just hollow out the aspects of the site that they see potentially as a waste, because they care more about music licensing than they do getting money in the pockets of musicians from the fans who want to support them. I think if this move signifies anything, it's that Songtradr would much rather just
only have
like,
9.
leech
The
off
fuck,
what
bro?
Bandcamp does in order to just enhance.
Gotta get
the
your
music
shit together. I
licensing
need
side
some
of their
materials.
business. Yeah, this is not good.
Yeah, I know what you're thinking. Critical made a video in a hotel room talking about Sniper Wolf, and here I am a couple days later making a video about Sniper Wolf in a hotel room. But wait, before you click off the video, I do actually have new information.
The
that just
jingling
came out
keys.
that Charlie
Yo.
didn't actually get around to talking about, because, you know, this is an ongoing developing story. But first, gather around the campfire. Let me tell you a story in 3 parts of how Sniper Wolf truly became one of the most disliked and hated YouTubers on the entire platform. So Sniper Wolf, if you didn't know, was that woman that appeared on a Darman episode one time. And she also used to play video games, and the entire selling point was she would play video games, but she was a woman.
Hey guys, what's up? You're watching my top plays for the past few days.
Now, Sniper Wolf doesn't do that anymore. That kind of content is below her. Like, for example, myself, how I do leafy prototype surf gameplay commentary videos. And now I do the exact same thing, but with like 2% more editing and it's face cam. But what Sniper Wolf did is she went into a cocoon. And when it hatched, a beautiful butterfly emerged called TikTok Reactions.
12 tickets, please?
Yeah, for one
Now, before the TikTok reactions, even back in like 2019, people didn't actually believe Sniper Wolf was a real gamer. She was being carried, had an alt account. To be fair, this is a pretty common game theory for like any kind of woman that plays video games. For example, Pokimane, she plays Valorant. She's got a high rank on Valorant and Overwatch, and people would instantly assume you're being carried or you've bought a pre-existing account to boost yourself. But now it has recently came out that she's being sued by her ex-husband, and said lawsuit basically all but confirmed that the gaming content that she used to make was completely fake. What would you know? Another YouTuber faking content. The next thing you guys will accuse me of is actually not going to Sweden for my Cry of Fear video.
I found the park in Cry of Fear where you do that puzzle. It's so weird to be here in person. It's like a video game reference in real life. What the hell?
Now, Sniper Wolf, her real name, Alia Shalesh, her ex-husband was another content creator called Evan Young, but most people know him as Sausage. There is various pictures of them together looking like an amazing couple scattered across the internet. And then he claims in the lawsuit that he was her collaborator when it came to making content for her. And they officially broke up for good in September 2022. Now, in the court documents, Sniper Wolf is not facing not one, not two, not three, 7 different counts. Breach of fiduciary duty, breach of contract, breach
Bitch,
of the
just
implied
land on the
covenant of
pad.
good faith, fair
The
dealing.
fuck?
This is like some Halo
God
crap.
damn it.
Tortious interference with contractual relations and business expectancy, conversion, accounting, and appointing of receiver. I'll be honest, I don't know what any of that means. I'm pretty sure you can watch like the Legal Eagle video on it. Or to be fair, you could open up Google and look up the definitions yourself. I could have done that, but I don't really get paid enough to do that. What, you thought that was effort in a Paralive video? Oh, brother. Oh, brother. Yeah. So basically, in the lawsuit, Sausage is saying that Sniper Wolf did none of her content. He basically scripted all of it, gave the ideas, and made it all himself. He did all the footage, he would play the games, and Sniper Wolf would just be there in the top left corner going, wow, oh my god, I got boom headshot, oh my god, wow guys, oh my god. Funny thing is about Sniper Wolf's reactions, I don't know if you could tell, they are actually very, very vapid. So much to the point that I found a meme on Twitter recently of someone doing a Markiplier reaction of the Bite of 87, but they're just making it out to be a Sniper Wolf reaction.
Give Fredbear a big kiss.
Was that the Bite of 87? The Bite of 87? What?
My whole world is turned upside down. That doesn't make any sense.
So in the lawsuit, he also refers to the Sniper Wolf gaming channel as like a joint venture. And when they made the account, they used a combination of each other's information. Could you imagine like it'd be so secretive that like the password, one half would only know one half of the password, and then the other half would only know the other half of the password. Like this is the kind of stuff that they have in like submarines before they set off nukes. So basically the lawsuit's saying Sniper Wolf, the woman, was the face of the channel, but behind the scenes, Sausage was basically pulling all of the strings, including but not limited to concept origination and development, script writing, directing, video editing, posting finished videos to the channel, and market research and analysis, among other things. Among us. So yeah, like I said, to recap, he did basically everything, which the lawsuit is accusing of, and Sniper Wolf would just be basically soy-facing in the left corner. Now, apparently, they went into an agreement in 2013 that Sniper Wolf and Sausage would split the revenue fairly, and that agreement was maintained until September 2022, when they eventually broke up. Following the termination of the romantic relationship, Leah began actively taking steps to lock Evan out of their business relationship. You know, the funny thing is, if you go into Sniper Wolf's YouTube channel right now and you go into the About section, it still says, I love gaming and making videos, despite the fact she has not touched a single video game in years. Maybe she reacted to a TikTok of a video game, but that's pretty much it. So with that out of the way, let's move on to chapter 2, which is Sniper Wolf versus Jax Films. So I'm sure you all know about this already. You saw the Critical video. Shut up. There's new stuff. Shut up. So recently, she's caused a huge rift in the community by bringing up the idea, is reaction content stolen content? Now, a lot of people like to jump on XQC or Hassan for this kind of stuff, but Sniper Wolf is basically the single biggest reaction channel because she has 34 million subscribers. And I can guarantee you right now, not a single one of them is over the age of 6. So all the way back in July, Jax Films basically took some shots at Sniper Wolf, was saying that she was basically freebooting content, reacting to stuff, not really adding anything apart from just, you know, doing a, oh my God, whoa. Which is, I mean, to be fair, pretty true. If you watch more than like 5 seconds of any of her
Oh,
videos,
shit!
that is pretty much the peak point of content.
Fuck,
And then Jax
man,
Films
just
took
fucking
the extra
land.
step to directly accuse Leah or her team of basically generating around $16 million in net revenue just from basically downloading TikToks and then opening them mouth occasionally when you watch them. Because let's be real, if you opened up a Sniper Wolf video and there was no TikToks, it was just her reacting, I don't think a single person would care about any of her content, and she would not have the platform that she has now. The best thing is, I hit my fucking knee, ow. Oh, it's like a marble desk as well. The best thing is as well, like Jax Films, when he makes the video on Sniper Wolf, you can tell he's not even trying to hide his contempt. He outright despises this woman. And I really don't blame him because he is a YouTube veteran. He's been on the platform for, I think, well over 10 years with his Jackasks and all the other kind of side content he does. And obviously you put time and effort into content like that, and then you get overtaken overnight by a woman that just watches TikToks and gives minimal interaction apart from going, wow guys, that's so crazy. Wow. Oh my God. Wow. So he basically went on to say that it's not even content, it's non-tent. Am I right, guys? Oh my God. Oh, he killed her there. Oh my God. She should just delete her YouTube channel. So this basically started a YouTuber civil war where Jax Films and Sniper Wolf would be constantly sniding each other 24/7. The problem is though, Jax Films would usually always buddy Sniper Wolf because Sniper Wolf's fan base aren't actually old enough to use Twitter yet. And then Sniper Wolf had this really bizarre cope where she said, 90% of what I upload are my ideas. People copy me, and then people like you get confused. Okay, so apparently Sniper Wolf invented watching a video and going, wow. No, you didn't. No, you didn't, bro. That's been around for like 20 years. That's been around for like 100 years. That's basically like watching a film in the cinemas. At one point, even completely throwing a dummy out the pram.
Wah, I can't stand that a female YouTuber is getting more views than me, even though I make the same content. Grr, life is hard.
Even though, like I said earlier, Jax Films does create, you know, unique, original content. Okay, I'm not gonna sit here and say he makes like the best content on YouTube, like it's these spectacles that everyone gets hyped over. No, definitely not. But it is fathoms and fathoms higher in entertainment and consistency and effort than anything Sniper Wolf has basically
I want
ever
to see
made.
something.
And then at one point she even brings up like the gender argument. Also, I hate bringing gender into this, but no one ever attacks the male react channels. Yes, they do. What are you on? Like, do you remember like 7 years ago when iDubbbz did like a content cop on Jinx? What do you mean? Like the male reaction channels? XQC basically every other month is attacked for like reacting to videos and giving no input. The same with Hassan, Critical, even me. Despite me being such a smaller channel in comparison, I still get flack for like reacting to stuff. That's why I don't really do it anymore. And then Jax Films being so tilted at the idea that women might actually have equal rights one day. That's a bit, by the way, please don't get it twisted. He then started a parody YouTube channel called JJ Jax Films, obviously a parody of SS Sniper Wolf, because obviously Jax Films, being a YouTube veteran, he's been infamously known for parodies. I even remember like he did like a Keemstar Drama Alert parody channel years and years ago.
It's time for Tube News. Tube News is the only show about news on YouTube dudes who feud for views. Woohoo! Today's subject is world famous YouTuber PewDiePie, who he's been on the show a couple of times before.
PewDiePie.
And in another instance, he actually did a parody of Leafy is Here. I mean, he probably would have done a parody of me if I was like anywhere near as relevant at the time.
Hey, what's up guys? GamerGuide88 here. Welcome to a brand new video. So here I am minding my own business, just try to get through another day, another struggle. When all of a sudden I stumble onto this guy's channel. This dude named Jack is a nerd. And I don't know about you guys, but I think I just found the cringiest person on the internet. But I wanted you guys to take a look and judge for yourselves. Let's roll the clip.
So today I want to talk to you about my shot glass collection.
And ironically, this has basically revived Jax Films' career because, I mean, in the nicest way possible, he wasn't getting anywhere near the amount. amount of views he was getting at his peak a fair few years ago, but now this drama has revitalized his channel. So Jax Films, in a sense, he's defending his ground, he's standing himself, which he's totally allowed to do, but I think he's also
Florida,
aware
stand your
that
ground law.
he's taking the chance
That's right,
to get a
baby.
little bit of a career revival. He also does these Twitch streams where he'll like react to Sniper Wolf's content and then have a bingo sheet up at the same time. But
Alright,
this
he doesn't
is where the
reset
fun and
the
games
nav
are
data.
over. And now we move on to part 3. There's no more fun and games. Please, anyone that is the average age of a Sniper Wolf viewer, please stop watching now. You may find the future content distressing. Act 3. Huge SS Sniper Wolf doxing drama. So the Sniper Wolf and Jax Films beef has been going on for quite a while. I honestly haven't even kept tabs on it, but for Sniper Wolf, Jax Films is basically living rent-free in her head. So really, really bizarrely, she posted this on her Instagram story. Should I go visit Jax Films? He lives like 5 minutes away from my shoot, Lamau. And then allegedly from Jack posting a picture
Lamau.
of Jack's house on her Instagram, which she quickly deleted. But, you know, any of her...
Was Lamau
5.6
even in
million
the-
on her
or did he
Instagram,
add
she
that?
quickly- allegedly Instagram story. Should I go visit Jack's Films? He lives like 5 minutes away from my shoot, Lamau. And then allegedly from Jack
Show him how to
posting a
shoot.
picture of
How a
Jack's
shoot is
house
really
on
done.
her Instagram, which she quickly deleted. But, you know, any of her 5.6 million Instagram followers would be able to see it. Now, obviously, for Jack, it's like no longer fun and games. He genuinely feels threatened because, you know, a YouTuber is like posting where he lives, and he's basically saying that entirely she should be deplatformed. The thing is, stuff like this has actually happened before. Like the time Jake Paul shown, I think it was Post Malone's house, and then everyone called him out on it, and he used like the YouTube video editor to blur out the house. The thing is, though, that wasn't actually malicious. This was malicious. She knew what she was doing. She had beef with a YouTuber, and it's like, should I roll up to his house? Should I roll up to his house? I'd like to imagine a picture of Jax Films' house blurred out, and it's just Sniper Wolf on the left side going,
Wow, wow, that's crazy.
I'm here in my
Jax Films
garage.
house
Just
tour.
bought my brand new dedicated Lamborghini. It's fun to drive here in the Minecraft area.
This is real.
So, like I said, Jax Films at this point feels pretty threatened, feels pretty intimidated. He's got a YouTuber that he has beef with rolling up to his house. And then Sniper Wolf had the audacity to say that she was the victim.
This creep has been harassing me for months, and then plays victim, saying I threatened him when I just wanted to talk to him. I have no ill intentions. It's so sad when people have to constantly create drama to pay their bills.
Now, like I said earlier, Jax Films definitely knows what he's doing. He knows that this is like a career revival, and also the fact that this beef is generating a lot of interest, a lot of views. I get that. But there is no way on earth that Sniper Wolf can pull up to someone's house unannounced, post publicly that she knows where the guy lives, near her house, post a picture of his house, quickly delete it, and then say that he's been harassing her. When has Jax Films ever pulled up her address on stream? At one point, you even had Jax Films' wife post about this, you know, basically atting Team YouTube, getting over 100,000 likes. In comparison, the only other things that get 100,000 likes are like pictures of a bunch of actors at the Oscars and a really bizarre meme that no one's ever heard of before. Dear YouTube, I'm not a creator, but my husband is. Tonight, Sniper Wolf came to my house, posted it on her Instagram for all to see. She tried to instigate a confrontation. I now have to worry about what she, as one of your favored creators, or any of her many fans, may do to harm me or my family. I am a regular human that works a normal 8 to 5 corporate job that happened to fall in love with a YouTuber. She might claim that she's coming after a bully, but she's actually stalking and doxing normal people with no power. I am an example of this. I beg you, what can you do to help us, to keep us safe? Now, YouTube did actually respond on the Twitter account saying, appreciate the report, we're passing this along right now. So YouTube seemed to be actually doing something, but again, Jax Films' wife is right. Sniper Wolf is like one of the favored creators on YouTube, so I could imagine, if anything, she'll probably just get a little, you know, slap on the wrist. Don't you be doxing people now. Don't you be saying you're gonna roll up for a confrontation. That's quite cheeky. It's like the time when Logan Paul did the thing in the Japanese forest, I'm sure you know, and he didn't actually get a ban or anything, and then the video after that, he tased a dead rat, and only after then, YouTube was like, okay, you know what? We're going to turn off your monetization for 2 weeks, buddy. That's a little bit too far. The body? It happens. But the rat? No. That's too far. So it's almost like she'll need to dox someone else to actually, you know, get a smack on the hand or some kind of suspension or loss of revenue. And then you even had Sniper Wolf, after doing all this, by the way, herself saying that maybe she needs to get a restraining order against him despite pulling up to his house.
This guy's entire channel
is just me. Every single video for the past few months has been about me. And it's just like shitting on me. And then his streams. This dude is just like low-key harassing me. Like, should I get a restraining order?
And the cope, believe me, the cope did not end there. She started posting DMs of her fans, like this one saying, 400 videos online shitting on someone, but wanting to talk IRL goes too far. Modern men are actually a joke. The thing is, you say you were just talking, right? I was just talking. You said yourself you wanted a confrontation. You go to someone's house unannounced. You take a picture of someone's house unannounced. You have a very big platform. Now, thankfully, the Sniper Wolf fan base, they probably couldn't drive for like another 20 years at most. Most of them are probably still gestating, like in the womb. But why would you act like it's going to be just a civil discussion? You know it's not. You're probably going to go there with your vlog camera, do some like kind of moronic confrontation, and then be like, oh, that was such an epic own, guys. I totally owned him there. There is just so much cope. Even after all of that, Sniper Wolf went on to say that she didn't actually dox Jax Films. She didn't dox him because his address was already publicly available on Google. By the way, Jax Films' address is not on Google. Why would it be? Unless he had some kind of like, you know, home business or something, like some kind of like nail salon that people would book appointments for. That doesn't make any kind of sense. So that is just a straight up lie. There's also a reaction to all of this on Jax Films' stream. And unfortunately, you can tell that he's pretty shaken up by it. Like this, he's not treating this like a joke. You can genuinely see the fear in this guy's eyes.
Shut up.
She's literally outside your door.
Like 5 minutes ago.
Wait, what?
She's literally right outside your house.
Oh my god!
This is happening right fucking
The
now.
fuck?
Call the fucking police.
Fucking sue
Actually.
her.
Wait, what?
Call the police.
No, there's a
No,
video.
She's outside your house right now.
What the fuck?
Holy shit. She
On-
literally
on her
posted
Instagram.
a video on her story 5 minutes ago.
I'm reporting.
Oh my gosh, she
Yeah.
is. She's outside her house.
Fucking record
That-
this right now.
She's fucking doxing you. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, no, this is fuck. Fuck her.
Oh god, that's horrible.
No, that is huge
No, it's
violation
not.
of privacy and so much else. There's so much wrong with that.
No, I'm not getting out, dude. Fuck that.
No,
No,
fuck
leaving.
that.
stay inside,
Call-
absolutely.
Call the cops and show them the Instagram story.
Hold on. I'm gonna go
And-
outside.
Aaron,
No, Aaron, no,
Aaron,
don't.
no, Aaron, don't. Do not.
Don't, please don't. All right, hold on. Should we? I'm gonna end this.
Yeah.
But
And then after all of this, recently, a couple hours ago, Jax Films uploaded only a 2-minute video basically talking about how he feels about the Sniper Wolf situation and saying that outright she does need to be deplatformed. Otherwise, if she isn't stopped or given some kind of punishment, what stops her from doing it to someone else she doesn't like?
Last night, Sniper Wolf, a massive YouTuber, showed up outside of our home, recorded a video of our home, and then posted it to her 5.6 million Instagram followers, goading me with the line, "Let's talk like adults." In my 17 years on YouTube, I've never once had someone come to my home and vaguely threaten me.
Now, you know how I just said what stops her from doxing someone else? You might need to put on your tinfoil hats for this one, but apparently, this is not her first time doxing someone. So all the way back in 2012, a very, very long time ago, over 10 years ago, which is terrifying by the way, Sniper Wolf got into beef with a gaming streamer. And allegedly, she went into some lengths to actually dox this girl. But the thing is with this situation, eventually they buried the hatchet and they actually, you know, became friends. Now I'm clinging to the word allegedly right now, like a commentary YouTuber, because there's obviously no proof of the actual doxing. Sniper Wolf has deleted all of the tweets on her end, but you can see this Megan girl's tweets, and she goes on saying, you know, a Twitter argument turns into her releasing my address onto Twitter. Damn, she mad. And you can see all the screenshots here that we've managed to actually wrangle up, and it basically, you know, it really does kind of hint at the fact that these two got into an argument.
click Mordite?
Sniper Wolf doxed her, but then
I don't
kind of
think so.
realized that this isn't a good idea. Me doxing someone, posting it publicly, not really a good idea. But if that did happen, I'm not saying it did, it seems to be allegedly at the minute, because again, there's no actual, you know, there's no video of Sniper Wolf going, I live at 308 Negra Arroyo Lane, Albuquerque, New Mexico, 87104. There's no proof of that, and until that comes out, you can't really confirm it. But there does seem to be a pattern of
Ferrite. I need
behavior
to make
here. So yeah, that's
uranium.
pretty much the entire Sniper Wolf situation.
I'll do that
I'm
once
pretty
I
sure
max
that
out
more
everything
updates gonna
else.
come out soon. Critical will probably beat me again and turn a 1-minute update into an 8-minute video. Look, I'm gonna be honest, I don't hate him, I'm just madly in love with him, okay?
before you even get there.
This video is brought to you by GeForce Now, powered by Cloud GG. They've just launched an all-new Ultra tier, giving you access to RTX 3080 servers, 4K 60 FPS streaming, support for ultra-wide monitors, and much more. It coincides with Game Pass arriving on GeForce Now, meaning you can play stuff like Forza Motorsport on there without needing an Xbox or a high-end PC. Click the link below to try it for free, or stick around to the end of the video to learn more. Gamers, we are here. We are at the zenith of Broketober, a month that in any other year would empty our wallets, but in 2023 it looks like it's going to push us into some serious debt. We already had AC Mirage, Lords of the Fallen, and Forza Motorsport. This week we've got Hot Wheels 2, Spider-Man 2, Super Mario Bros. Wonder, City Skyline 2, the Metal Gear Solid Remaster Collection, and of course, Just Dance 2024. I know we're all excited about that one. Hard to imagine that we've still got to leave room for Alan Wake and Ghost Runner 2 next week. I, for one, have been busy with one or more of those titles. I can't talk about some of them yet, but I can tell you that Spider-Man 2 is awesome, and you're gonna love it. More on that later in the episode. For now, though, we should probably get stuck into the news because there's a bunch of it. Not as crazy as other weeks, but it does contain one story which I am very, very glad to report is now done, so I'll never have to report on it ever again. That is right, I'm talking about Microsoft completing its acquisition of Activision Blizzard King, one of the largest acquisitions in corporate history, and a deal so drawn out that it feels like we've been talking about it for years. To be fair though, we almost have been, as news of the acquisition first broke in January of last year, the first week I got back from my holiday break, so that was a rare instance where the timing
See if
was
I can
actually in
give
my
Cronus
favor.
that.
Since then, Phil Spencer and Microsoft have been fighting tooth and nail to get this deal over the line. The chief antagonist was Jim Ryan, the soon-to-be retired boss man of Sony. In the concluding arc of his career, Ryan brought the fight to Xbox relentlessly, lobbying all around the world against the deal, arguing that it would hurt not only consumers but the broader market. Much of his efforts hinged on the centrality of Call of Duty, a franchise so massive and so entrenched that Sony were of a view that if you gave another studio an unlimited time frame and unlimited budget, they still couldn't make a better video game. Not sure if your average COD player would agree with that one, but anyway. Phil Spencer would argue repeatedly that Microsoft had no intention of making Call of Duty an Xbox exclusive, going so far as to sign a pledge to that effect, an offer rebuffed by Sony as they made clear that COD was just a bargaining chip in a broader campaign to block the deal. While most regulatory bodies around the world were happy to wave the deal through, Jim Ryan did find a sympathetic audience in both the UK's CMA and the US's FTC, both of which went to great lengths to block this deal. The FTC case was pretty shaky, to the point where the presiding judge was clearly unimpressed with how the FTC argued their case. The UK's CMA didn't need a court hearing to rule on the matter though. They determined internally that the deal would harm the emerging cloud gaming market, given Microsoft's already entrenched position owing to its Azure infrastructure. As a result, Microsoft struck an unlikely partnership with Ubisoft, whereby Ubisoft would distribute Activision games through the cloud in the UK, disarming the CMA's key objection and clearing the way for their assent. Which brings us to this week, when Microsoft finally caught the car, announcing that they had completed their acquisition of Activision Blizzard King for nearly $69 billion. Phil Spencer was of course pretty chuffed. He tweeted out on the old Twitter, quote, "Today is a good day to play. We officially welcome Activision Blizzard King to Team Xbox. Together we'll create stories and experiences that bring players together in a culture empowering everyone to do their best work and celebrate diverse perspectives," end quote. It's pretty hype because, love them or hate them, Activision Blizzard absolutely has some of gaming's most iconic IPs, and now those IPs belong to Microsoft. The immediate question then becomes, when are we going to be able to get all this stuff for a few bucks a month on Game Pass? Because as fun as Call of Duty is, sometimes I ain't paying $70 for that shit ever again. Activision Blizzard could clearly sense our anticipation, so they issued a statement to calm us down, saying, quote, "While we do not have plans to put Modern Warfare 3 or Diablo 4 into Game Pass this year, once the deal closes, we expect to start working with Xbox to bring our titles to more players around the world, and we anticipate that we would begin adding games into Game Pass sometime in the course of next year," end quote. While I think we're all okay to wait a bit longer for that, one thing that can't come soon enough is the ejection of Bobby Kotick, the current but soon-to-be former CEO of Activision Blizzard, who was one of the chief architects of this microtransaction-laden era and who oversaw a culture of crunch, hostility, bullying, and sexual harassment at both Activision and Blizzard. Reports suggested that Bobby Kotick knew much of what was going on beneath him but did little to stop it, going so far as to intervene in certain cases to protect people accused of sexual harassment. When Blizzard's reckoning came, Kotick made a sacrificial lamb of Blizzard President J. Allen Brack, but took absolutely no responsibility himself other than a meaningless pay cut that would of course be made up with interest down the line. That down the line is here today, as Kotick's exit from the company is likely to trigger a number of clauses in his contract, that could see him take home as much as $375 million when his pass is confiscated and he is escorted from the building. Microsoft has said that Kotick will stay on in the CEO role until the end of the year, at which point in time someone else will take over the reins and begin the daunting task of revitalizing key franchises, improving workplace culture, and merging at least some operations with Microsoft. And look, I'm just putting it out there, but I know one CEO who I think would be perfect for the job, and he just became available. Just a suggestion, have a think about it. So that... And he just became... I'm just putting it out there, but I know one CEO who I think would be perfect for
Who
the
the fuck
job.
is that?
And he just became available. Just a suggestion. Have a think
Available,
about it. So
yeah.
that is finally that. After 18 months of talking about this fucking acquisition, it's finally done. Phil got what he wanted. Jim retired. Bobby Kotick got even more obscenely wealthy. And what do we get? Diablo 4 and Candy Crush on Game Pass. That's something, I guess. Don't expect the acquisition wars to end there, mind you. Remember how a few weeks ago I was like this?
I mean, Disney has essentially no meaningful footprint in gaming at this point. You mean to tell me they aren't going to turn around at some point and just, I don't know, buy Ubisoft or something?
That was 2 weeks ago, and wouldn't you know it, this week Bloomberg are reporting that Disney's senior leadership are pressuring CEO Bob Iger to move into gaming in a big way. Bloomberg say that the ailing fortunes of Disney has prompted some head honchos to propose a bold transformation from
Because
gaming
Disney
licensee
games.
to gaming giant. Apparently, EA is being considered as an acquisition target, which does track with some rumors doing the rounds.
Ooh, they
some
got
years
Star
ago.
Wars. It might
Ubisoft's
do some
name is
crazy.
also
Nah, it's
being
gonna be
used.
whack. They're not gonna have any
Absolutely
dismemberment.
can go back for seconds
No
if
blood.
that happens. Ubisoft is laden with staff, struggling to turn out AAA hits, and has had almost no success in the mobile space. There's a reason they've been
Go to
looking
Cronus,
for a buyer for a very
give 'em
long
that
time.
special
I don't think
sauce.
Disney are going to end up being the groom for whoever puts a ring on Ubisoft. Apparently, Iger is non-committal on the idea of a move to gaming, and you know what? I think that's smart. Disney has absolutely no idea what they are doing when it comes to video games, so for them to just scoop up a massive publisher without working
Nah,
into it
Cronus,
first,
where you at over
really
here?
disaster for everyone.
I got you some
Maybe Andy
secret
Wilson will
sauce,
get
bro.
15th yacht with the
You're
South
gonna
Coast.
love it.
Still, I do expect that Disney will do something in the gaming space. in the
Fiber
near term,
stew.
so
How many
do watch this
nanites do I
space.
get for
Speaking
that?
of EA, here's a good news story I would never have expected. Battlefield 2042 is back, like
70?
properly back. I'm sure you remember just how bad Battlefield
Costs like 1 million
2042 was at
units.
launch. It was among the buggiest
How much for the
Battlefield
sauce?
releases ever, and that is saying something, let me tell
But
you.
it does not
Very
move
skint
you.
on content like maps and weapons, and it tossed out the old class system in favor of a flavor of the month
What are
special.
you talking about, bitch?
Many of whom had cringy dialogue emotes that really didn't feel at home in the Battlefield franchise. Since then, EA DICE have been hard at work on the title, fixing it, expanding its content, bringing
Was that
classes
7
back,
nanites?
So it culminated recently in a steep discount on Steam, where you can currently get the title for 84% off.
80?
That's led to
What?
a very big resurgence in the player base, where once this game was struggling to crack a few thousand people on its best day, it just surpassed 103,000 concurrent players over the weekend.
Oh,
That makes
you
it
only
of
get
the
them
most
one
played
by
games on Steam
one.
right now, and that's just Steam.
Oh.
It doesn't count all the people who play on EA's terrible launcher or
Time to
consoles.
collect some
It's not
nanites.
perfect, as the
Ugh.
title is still sitting at a mixed 56% on Steam, owing to serious connectivity issues that are stopping a lot of people from playing. But still, 100,000 concurrent players are managing to get in, and they're sticking around. To be honest, it's kind of nice to see Battlefield back. COD is, it's COD, but Battlefield has a really cool community, and they really live for this shit, so it's nice to see the franchise they love humming back to life. Now, if EA could just turn their attention to Titanfall next, that'll be great. Thank you very much. Speaking of legacy shooters, word on the street is that 343 are already hard at work on the next Halo campaign. This report comes from a publication by the name of Season Gaming. They claim to have a source saying that there's a team working at 343 on the next single-player Halo outing, and in line with previous reporting, this next Halo entry will be in Unreal Engine 5. If it is true, it shouldn't be totally shocking. I mean, it's Halo. It's not like Microsoft aren't going to keep going back to that one so long as there's life left in it, or even if there's not. The source did say that we should absolutely not expect to hear anything about this for at least a few years, so be sure to put a pin in that excitement and come back to it circa 2025 or beyond. Speaking of Xbox, Remedy Entertainment are hard at work on Alan Wake 2, and apparently they aren't having a great time with the Xbox Series S. Remedy's communication director Thomas Pua was very candid on the matter when he was asked about it on a recent IGN podcast. He gave a lengthy explanation for why Series S won't offer a 60 FPS mode, saying that the GPU and memory constraints of the Series S are a real bottleneck, more so than you experience on PCs, and as such sacrifices have to be made. it mirrors commentary from other developers on the challenges of developing for the Series S, including Baldur's Gate 3 developer Larian, who famously delayed Baldur's Gate 3's release on the Xbox due to their inability to get split-screen co-op running on Series S, before striking a deal with Phil Spencer to be the first game to ship to Xbox Series consoles without full feature parity, the split-screen co-op feature being removed on Series S. Kind of crazy to think that the next console generation will start in 2028, that is according to Microsoft's own leaked documents, and developers are going to be hamstrung by the Series S for another 4 years. Like, I don't know, man, I think Microsoft maybe need to rethink their strategy or something. I know the Series S is popular, don't get me wrong, but yeah, 4 years is a long time. By the way, Remedy also confirmed there are no plans for a physical version of Alan Wake 2. They said it was a matter between them and their publisher, Epic Games. I'm gonna guess it's Epic's call here, so Epic, I have a suggestion. I hear you guys are bleeding cash and you need to cut costs. I have a surefire way to make a boatload of money. You ready? Release a physical version of Alan Wake 2 and also release it on Steam. There you go. I just doubled the sales of Alan Wake 2. You are welcome, Tim Sweeney. Send me a couple.
Yeah, the
of
fiber
numbers.
stew is giving
By
me
the
most.
way, the last bit of Remedy news. Did you know they're remaking Max Payne? You might have already since it was announced a little while ago. But did you know they're combining Max Payne 1 and 2 into a single package? I didn't know that until last week when director and Max Payne himself, Sam Lake, spoke about the project with Video Game Chronicle. He described it as a, quote, big undertaking, end quote. And yeah, I believe it. Smushing 2 games into one and trying to do justice to those classics has got to be one hell of a tall order. The project is being published by Rockstar, who now own the Max Payne rights after Remedy sold them back in 2002 for $34 million. No release date for this one yet. From the sounds of things, it isn't anytime soon. Circling back to physical media for a moment, that recent Xbox leak revealed that Microsoft are abandoning physical media with their next console release, and wouldn't you know it, Best Buy have just revealed that they're exiting the physical media business as well. To be clear, they say it's only for movies and music and that they will still sell games. But Josh Fairhurst of Limited Run Games say he's heard that Best Buy will soon stop selling physical Xbox games. Which, yeah, totally makes sense if Xboxes are no longer going to have disk drives. It's significant because Best Buy are one of the largest physical media retailers in the United States and therefore one of the biggest in the world. If they do exit the market, it would send a clear signal to other retailers and publishers to do the same, and that'd be a real shame. A quick lightning round to finish off. Assassin's Creed Mirage is not only popular with critics, it seems that the fans are enjoying it as well. Or at the very least, they're buying it. Ubisoft announced that Mirage is now Ubisoft's biggest
Wait,
ever
I can cook my
new-gen launch title.
flavor
for the
some
Xbox
sauce
Series
and my
Xbox
fiber
consoles.
stew together?
It's a bit of an odd way to slice it, but it's a clear message that Mirage is successful.
Hold on, Cronus.
Hopefully this translates to more of the classic style Assassin's Creed games, because while I didn't love Mirage, I really think it showcased just how well a lot of those older elements of the formula held up. Speaking of success stories, it looks as though Armored Core 6 Fires of Rubicon sold through 2.8 million copies. That's according to one of the Japanese voice actors on the title. Don't know how he got his hands on that intel, but we thank him for sharing it. That's a huge result for what was a very, very niche series at this point, especially in the West. With numbers like that, we should absolutely expect FromSoft to be following up with a sequel. While we're talking victory laps, Game of the Generation contender Vampire Survivors has just surpassed 200,000 positive reviews on Steam, making it very popular. People really love this video game. And why wouldn't they? It's like the best thing ever. By the way, whenever I talk about this game, there's always people in the comments being like, is this a bit? Is this a meme game? That game looks shit. I can't tell if Shillup is joking. Bro, boot up the game, play it for 5 minutes, and come back next week and you can tell me if I'm joking. Moving right along, it isn't good news for everyone on the sales front. This week, Paradox wrote down the entire development cost of the recently released Lamplighters League, meaning they're declaring a loss of nearly $30 million for the company. The game's been out since October and has racked up less than 200 reviews on Steam, peaking at just 600 concurrent players. Yes, it is available on Game Pass, but I mean, the publisher themselves are declaring it a flop, so that Game Pass player count seems rather academic at this point. Bit of a shame. Hopefully the developer harebrained schemes live to fight another day. The International Olympic Committee are getting into the esports business. At a time when almost every esport is in decline, the IOC say they want to create a dedicated esports Olympic Games. I look forward to the Netflix documentary detailing all the ways that G Fuel gets smuggled into the athletes' village. That is terrible. What the fuck? Oh, I should delete that. I'm not going to delete it. We're going to keep going. If you are planning on picking up Diablo 4 on Steam this week, then don't tell anyone. You get in trouble for saying you like Diablo, and it's just not worth it, trust me. Still, if you are insistent, then good news. Diablo 4 is going to be Steam Deck compatible. It actually runs really well on there and on the ROG Ally, which is where I played a bunch of it while I was on holiday earlier this year. It's kind of a perfect handheld game, actually. So if you've been waiting to give it a crack, then that Steam Deck tick might be the perfect excuse. Speaking of Diablo, did you guys see that stuff about the Lilith skin in Overwatch? It was kind of the focal point of the seasonal marketing, and it turns out that the only way to get your hands on it was by buying the Ultimate Edition of the Battle Pass for $40 US. Classic Blizzard. Finishing up with some voice actor news, it turns out CD Projekt Red used AI to recreate a Polish voice actor's voice after he had passed away. They did so with the permission of his family after deciding that the best way to honor his memory was to retain his voice for the concluding Cyberpunk DLC. It's a tricky subject, AI, certainly too tricky to unpack in a lightning round, but do expect to hear plenty more of these stories in the future. No AI voice work for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth though, because Square just locked in Matt Mercer as the voice of Vincent. You are legally prohibited from releasing any video game that does not contain Matt Mercer's voice, as evidenced by the fact that this year alone he was in Tears of the Kingdom and Baldur's Gate 3. So Square are just looking to remain legally compliant here, and I for one support it. And finally, the new voice of Mario has been revealed. After stepping down from the job, the iconic Charles Martinet will be succeeded by one Kevin Afghani. He hasn't got too many credits to his name, so he's definitely a bit of an unknown. Based on the gameplay we've seen of Mario Wonder so far, it looks like he's crushing it in the role right out of the gate, and it's really nice to see how welcomed he's been by Mario fans the world over. So, what got announced this week? Well, very little actually. One of the quietest weeks for new game announcements or delays I've ever seen. Pretty much the only thing we got was Earth Defense Force 6. It's EDF alright, take a look.
We connect now to our live feed with soldiers on the battlefield. Hello, can you hear me?
I can't wait to start the fight.
The
It's just
fuck?
fighting. Easy. I'm lucky today. The bullets won't hit me. Let's hang out tonight, everyone.
The rest of the trailer continues on like that, just as the previous 5 games have done, but that's why everyone loves them, and you don't mess with a good thing. No release date for this one yet, but it is arriving Northern Spring next year. So what came out last week?
At least they got a lot of
Total War
monsters.
Pharaoh arrived exclusive to PC, and I was not wrong when I mused that there doesn't seem to be a lot of hype for this one, because the game peaked at a concurrent player count of around 5,400 people, which is just a fraction of previous Total War entries. Steam reviews are also most unkind, sitting at a mixed 60%, with many of them pointing to the size, scale, and scope of the game being very limited, a common refrain being that it's akin to the poorly received Total War Troy. Critics were a bit warmer on it, scoring at a strong 78 on OpenCritic. IGN scored it an 8, saying, quote, Total War Pharaoh's interesting battles complement an impressively rich campaign centered on the late Bronze Age collapse, end quote. Contrast that with Video Gamer, who scored it a 4 out of 10 and said, quote, it squanders its potential with meager gameplay, story, soundtrack, and performance, and fails to add anything of note to the Total War series or leave an impression on its identity, end quote. Maybe worth replaying an older campaign than shelling out $60 for this new one. Biggest release of the week was Lords of the Fallen. Sadly, I wasn't able to review that one as I was busy with both Spider-Man and something else I'm not allowed to talk about yet. Review for that one coming soon, but luckily Austin was able to pick up the slack. He sort of liked it, sort of not. I think it's fair to say that he wanted to like it more than he actually did, as the gorgeous visuals, art design, and the novel dual world mechanic really pull you in. The middling combat, frustrating boss design, and some obtuse
Ingredient
game
storage.
mechanics really spit you back
Let's
out.
put the,
It's by no means terrible, but it's far from the peak of what this subgenre has to offer, paling in comparison
Vegetables.
to anything that FromSoft have produced, or even the recent Lies
Delicious
of P.
vegetable
If you'd like to see that
stew,
full review
delicious
from Austin,
stew,
I'll leave a link
fire
below.
stew.
He wasn't the only one with a fairly
Okay,
mixed take,
I'll
by
keep
the
the
way. The game
fire
is sitting at
stew.
a strong
Give that to
75 on
him.
OpenCritic. That number hides just how far the review pendulum is swinging on this one. At the top end, you've got stuff like GameSpew, who scored it a 9 out of 10, saying, quote, Hexworks has created something that genuinely feels like a successor to Dark Souls, leveraging the power of next-gen to push the genre forward, end quote. At the other end of the spectrum, you've got the Six Axes, who scored it a 4 out of 10, saying, quote, I desperately wanted to like Lords of the Fallen, but it's the first game all year that's actively annoyed me. I like the Soul genre more than any other. This game took all of the lessons it could have learned since the original Lords of the Fallen and either forgot them entirely or just misunderstood them so grievously that you'd assumed it skipped a class, end quote. Maybe one to pick up on sale eventually, but with a month as stacked as this, Lords of the Fallen looks to be one to keep on the back burner. Wizard with a Gun arrived last week. It's a unique looking survival game that I thought was only headed to PC and Switch, but it turns out it's also headed to PS5 and Xbox. Thank you to Devolver for correcting me on that one. Reviews for this one dropped overnight, and already on Steam it's sitting at a very positive 90%, which is a great result. The critics are a little cooler on it, scoring it a fair 74 on OpenCritic. IGN scored this one a 6, saying, quote, Wizard with a Gun is an entertaining co-op action game. The balance issues and an unsatisfying ending leave it feeling unfinished and in need of updates, end quote. And finally, 1 week before we get a brand spanking new 2D Mario game, we got a brand spanking new 2D Sonic game. Sonic Superstars is an all-new, all-original Sonic game that aims to shove the speedy blue furball into the future. featuring stuff like 3D stylized visuals, 4-player co-op, 8-player PvP modes, and a whole cast of playable characters to choose
shit.
from. No Steam reviews at the time of
Goddamn.
writing, but critics seem pretty happy with it overall, with the title sitting at a strong 76 on OpenCritic, with most of the reviews sitting at around that 7 or 8 mark. Metro Game Central summed it up well when they said, quote, "It's no Sonic Mania, but this is still one of the better attempts to create a modern-day 2D Sonic the Hedgehog with impressive visuals but boring boss battles," end quote. So that's Team Blue shooting their shot. Can the little Italian plumber one-up him, so to speak? We'll find out later this week. Speaking of which, what is coming out this week? Fucking everything, let me tell you. This is like the last great week of the year, a week so stacked with releases that we will not see its like again until, I don't know, October of next year probably. So buckle up, we have a lot to get through. Kicking things off is Hellboy: Web of Weird. I'm really surprised that I haven't seen more hype behind this one because it's an original story from Hellboy creator Mike Mignola, and it has this sick looking art style, and it's a roguelike brawler with cool looking gameplay. Despite that, you'd be forgiven for not knowing this exists. Well, it does, and it arrives on all platforms today. Endless Dungeon is one you may want to check out if you're looking for some co-op fun. It's set in the Endless universe and sees teams of up to 3 square off against monsters and aliens in thick roguelike twin-stick shooter and tower defense style action. This one arrives on all platforms on the 19th. Galactic Civilizations 4 has been in early access since April of this year, and on the 19th it'll hit 1.0. They're not just giving it a new version number, they're also giving it a new suffix, Supernova. It's exclusive to PC, as pretty much all grand strategy titles are, and the Steam reviews are looking pretty solid at this point, so this one might be worth keeping an eye on depending on how the launch day reviews land. Gargoyles Remastered is a refresh of the classic 2D platformer based on the iconic Disney cartoon. This one is doing that thing where you can press a button and toggle between the old and the new art style, only I think the old pixel art looks a lot better, and I know I'm not alone in that. This one arrives on all platforms on the 19th. Here's something I'm actually really pumped about, but I don't have time for right now. Hot Wheels Unleashed 2 Turbocharged. So I played the first one, and it is absolutely fantastic. One of the best arcade races I've played in a long time, with superb handling, great track design, car models, track build features, and so much more. Just a great time, and I
Are you kidding me? The first Hot Wheels game was fucking garbage. That shit that came out on PS5 on when PS5 first came out, that was fucking garbage. The tracks were fucking awful. They had a beautiful Bugs Bunny Looney Tunes theme track, but they had so many cool structures. They had fucking Bugs Bunny in a little mountain sitting on a chair, but the track was nowhere near any of that shit. It was like going around the entire place. And the only way I got to see that was because I veered off track, and I decided to explore for myself. Some other racers even joined me. I think I got that video up on my main channel. The stream too. I don't think I have the stream up. Cronus, give me those fucking nanites. Fucking eat all this stew. You fat bitch.
Up dumping a bunch of hours into it, where I really only expected to play like 15 minutes.
Spitting all those nanites in his jaw.
It's more vehicle
He's got a
types,
Giga
the
Chad.
ability to jump or side swipe whenever
Giga
you like.
Chad jaw.
A whole sort of unlock system for each car, new track building options, and tons more. I played a little bit of it back at the Summer Games Fest in June, and I loved it. If you've already played the first one, then this one might not be an essential purchase, as there's a lot of shared DNA here. But if you skip that one, then yeah, grab this so long as the reviews don't raise any red flags. I promise you'll have a surprisingly excellent time with this. It hits all platforms on the 19th. Jackbox Party Pack 10 is releasing on all platforms on the 19th. There's 10 of them now, so this will be the 10th one that I haven't played. I think you have to have friends to play these games, so I don't really qualify. Forgive Me Father 2 arrives in early access on the 19th, exclusive to PC for now. Not gonna lie, pretty surprised to see this one, given that the first one only came out in April of last year. Doesn't feel like much time between drinks. Still, the first game was superb. A gory first-person shooter with a comic book art style and a sacrilegious setting. I'll let this one bake until it's ready, but I definitely plan to pick it up when it hits 1.0. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, here we are, the day we have all been waiting for, October 20th, where it is on this glorious day that we get not one, but 2 first-party bangers, both of them starring characters from New York City, wearing red suits. And they both jump a lot. Wait a second, did anyone ask Shigeru Miyamoto if he based Mario on Spider-Man? Someone asked him that in an interview, see what happens. Anyway, I digress. Spider-Man 2 arrives exclusive to the PS5 on the 20th. It will almost certainly arrive on PC sometime late next year if Sony's general release cadence holds. A testament to Sony's confidence, the review embargo expired for this a few days ago, so that's when my review went up. Link below the like button. I really enjoyed this. I really did. I didn't enjoy it as much as I enjoyed the first game, as I do think some of the story beats didn't land for me in quite the same way, and the open world stuff felt a little familiar. But none of that changes the fact that this is an absolutely superb game. Such an incredible spectacle, so well made, each of its voice actors delivering such brilliant performances, especially Yuri Lowenthal as symbiote Spider-Man. Insomniac continue to cement themselves as the jewel in Sony's first-party crown, and what they've done here is absolutely in keeping with the high-quality bar they always manage to set. Speaking of high bars, Mario. The bar doesn't get much higher than that now, does it? But Nintendo will yet again try to clear it on October 20th when they release Super Mario Bros. Wonder, the first 2D Mario in a hot minute, and certainly Mario's swan song on the Nintendo Switch. This is looking absurdly good. Clips are spilling out all over the internet, and each one looks more impressive than the last, with the art style, music, and sheer creativity on display.
There's got to be a better way to get nanites. I thought this guy was going to give me a fucking bonus or something every 10 stews, but how much am I at? Yeah, I've given him about 43. This fucking piece of shit is not giving me enough nanites.
Jason here, and I'm going to show you an easy way to get a ton of nanites. Now, it is not the fastest way, but it is so easy. You can do this so quickly in the game, and it doesn't take any problems at all. It takes you a little bit of time, but you don't have to fight anyone. You don't have to do any battle at all. So, you need to find a corrupt planet. If you don't know how to do that, there is a link down below in the description to find a corrupt planet. Now, once you get there, you'll notice there's a whole bunch of these purple crystals all over the place. And they give you, if you mine up all of these purple crystals, they give you Atlantium. You know, that's not how it's pronounced, but hey, that's what I'm calling it, Atlantium. So here you are right here. This is a new material that just came in with the Interceptor update for No Man's Sky, the brand new update for No Man's Sky. This is really important. You need it for upgrading your Sentinel equipment, but you can also use this material to make a whole bunch of nanites. So if you refine it, let's take some Atlantium and put it in there. It will actually refine into Pugnium. So 1 Atlantium turns into 2 Pugnium. Now, and it goes really quick. Look at that, we're already blasting through a lot of it already. We've got 150 right there, boom. And then, once you've made your Pugnium, you can turn that, you can refine that into nanites. Now it's going to take a lot more. It's going to take 25 Pugnium to make 1 nanite. So that group right there, boom. I just got 6 nanites in what, like 30 seconds or whatever? So you can just farm a whole bunch of these crystals and get a
Controlled Chaos here. In this video, I want to go over the best way to farm nanites in No Man's Sky for the Interceptor update. Let's go ahead and get going. First off, go into your inventory and you're going to see some items here. I'm going to talk about how to get the nanites first, then go through my process I use to get these things. So we have Atheum here, and Earths will actually give you, I'm going to take Radiant, if I scroll here, let's just back out here real quick, go back down to here, I'm going to take Radiant Shards, and we're going to throw it in there. And the Radiant Shards will actually give you 50 nanites for 1 Radiant Shard. Now, the Radiant Shards are used for repairing, so you don't want to do all your Radiant Shards, which is why I'm doing this 1 by 1. The next good one is Inverted Mirrors. Put the Inverted Mirror in there, and you'll see 95 nanites for 1 inverted mirror. It gets better though. So we back out, we go down, we put in our Halon Brain This is amazing. This is the best way to do it, is the Halon Brains. What I'm going to show you is a way to get all of this stuff. So right here, you see how I'm right next to a bunch of Radiant Shards? So all I'm going to do is just turn to my mining tool, and I'm going to mine all of these Radiant Shards just to get those in this area. So once I have gotten all of these done, we'll then move on to the next step. And the next step is pull up your scanner. And what we're looking for is you can go towards the Radiant Shards, but that's not what I'm looking for. What I'm looking for is the Dissonant Resonators. Highlight that. Move your way towards the Dissonant Resonators. The way I say is you can sprint to it, but it's still a little slow. You could also fly to it, but you do not want to fly to it because you're going to be picking stuff up possibly along the way. So you hit your melee attack and then jetpack forward. And you want to keep an eye on the ground for Radiant Shards along the way. Because as you get closer to that, you will find them and you'll want to get them. You could also, if you want to do the way of the Pugnium, which isn't that effective, you can attack the smaller crystals, mine the smaller crystals, and that will get the Atheum for you, which is nice. And I'm caught up on a tree. So, anyways, continue heading towards that.
He never said what kind of planet he goes to.
To omit no detail in between chapters. I did get my advanced mining wizard built, and then I charged full speed ahead back to that dissonance spike / crush site location or whatever. Because at this point I was honestly straight champing at the bit to break me off a piece of that good old Radiant Shard, if you know what I'm saying. Though I do confess, I scarcely knew why. It was no great mystery, however, it was just a thing that I needed, and no detail in between chapters. I did get my advanced mining.
There's a corrupted sentinel right there. Look at him. Oh, he's getting mad. He's getting mad. Welcome back to No Man's Sky, everyone. Jason here and here. Now, they are randomized, so they're going to be, it might look a little different for you, but in general, you're going to want to look for this thing right here. These couple of things that they sell. So, a suspicious packet of tech right here. They sell that for cash. And a suspicious packet of arms. This is basically your weapon upgrades right here. These two will give you upgrades that you can just sell right back and earn nanites. So, you're turning your money into nanites. You can also grab the Hadal cores and refine those if you want. So let's do that. Let's look at our number real fast. $45 million. And we have 63,000 nanites. So we're spending about $1 million on the Hadal cores.
Yeah, that might be a better way.
Then we're gonna spend another $1 million, so we're up to $2 million.
I can do that. I can do that while my. I can do that while my shit is cooking.
Display all looking fantastic. Nintendo, man, they do not mess around when it comes to their flagship franchises, except for Star Fox on the Wii U, but we don't talk about that. Believe it or not, the month is not done. City Skyline arrives on the 24th of October, exclusive to PC for now, since the console port's got a last-minute delay to, I don't know, maybe as late as May of next year. That's pretty concerning. Also a little concerning is the recommended hardware for this one, an RTX 3080 to play at 1080p. My dudes, come on now, is this a city builder game or an AutoCAD program? I'm actually quite interested in this one, given how much people enjoyed the first one, but I'm really going to be looking to see how those reviews land before jumping in. The Metal Gear Solid Master Collection Volume 1 arrives on all platforms on the 24th. This one contains Metal Gear Solid 1, 2, and 3, as well as the original 16-bit games and a boatload of fan service style extras. Think, your DVD extras, but for video games, and you're halfway there. It's the golden years of Metal Gear, before things started getting a little unwieldy with 4 and a little unfinished with 5. If you've never experienced these games before, I promise you, they hold up well, because they are each a masterpiece. Less so too, but we don't like to make us feel left out. Nearly there, 2 more to go. Lord of the Rings Return to Moria is a survival crafting game set in the mines of Moria. It absolutely makes sense, and it's a surprise that no one has done this before, except there is a game called Return to Nagrin, which is basically exactly this, but without the Lord of the Rings license. That one is still in development though, so if you want to start working out that pickaxe arm, then you can grab Lord of the Rings Return to Moria on the 20th, exclusive to the Epic Games Store. So yeah, there you go. And finally, I lied when I said that October 20th was the biggest day, because on October 24th, we get a new Just Dance. That is right. It's Just Dance 55 or something. I don't know. It's got the BTS, it's got the Miley Ray Cyrus, it's got the Whitney Houston, but it ain't got no Taylor Swift. So I ask you, what is the point of this video game if it ain't got no Tay-Tay? I'm outraged. I'm gonna go watch the Eras Tour movie again to calm down. I'll see you later. Bye. All right, I'm back. So hey, put this on your radar. Right, so a few years back, a small indie team by the name of Event Horizon released a game called Tower of Time. It didn't do big numbers, but it got noticed. Go and look up reviews for this one, and you'll see that people who play CRPGs, myself included, really like this one for its excellent, accessible spin on the old-school, real-time with pause CRPG combat formula. Terrific title, one I still recommend checking out if you haven't yet done so. A few years with their heads down, and Event Horizon are now resurfacing with this, Dark Envoy. It's another CRPG, only this time in a more Arcanum, Magipunk-inspired setting. It retains the real-time with pause combat framework, but now has much deeper RPG systems, more classes, customization, and loot than before. It's also got online co-op.
Stop exiting me out the menu,
nice
you
addition,
fucking
given how much
asshole.
People love playing co-op in any CRPG that will allow it, which sadly isn't many. Bottom line, I have a lot of faith in this team. They've been working on this one for a long time, and it looks great, so I have high hopes. Best of all, you won't have to wait long, because it's out next week on the 25th of October, exclusive to Steam for now. If you're keen, I profiled it over on my Steam Curator page, which also has links to all of the other Put This On Your Radar stuff I've recently covered. I'll leave a link to all of that below the like button. Sort of free stuff time now, and only a few quick shouts for the week. Epic is here, and not for nothing, but they just reiterated that despite the fact that they are bleeding cash, they still plan to continue giving away free games, saying that the program is one of their best recruitment tools into the Epic Games Store. So I guess the good times keep rolling for us, not so much for Epic. Either way, right now you can grab Sea of Thieves-esque blazing sails, as well as the first-person puzzler Cube Ultimate Bundle. Later this week, those will disappear, replaced by Eternal Threads, another first-person puzzler, though this one is more of a detective game, as well as survival horror cult classic The Evil Within. It wasn't until the sequel that this series really hit its stride, but it's absolutely worth checking out, especially at this price tag. Only other shout is for the monthly Game Pass refresh. Key callouts here include Headbangers, which is a fun-looking rhythm-based party game, Jusant, which is a lovely-looking climbing game from Don't Nod. That'll actually be a day one release on Game Pass when it releases at the end of the month, as well as City Skylines 2, PC exclusive, as we mentioned earlier. By the way, while I've been writing this script, the developers have just issued a statement basically warning people about PC performance, saying that they haven't hit the target they were aiming for, and yet the game is still getting released. Game Pass definitely sounds like the right way to check this one out, especially when the developers themselves are warning you that it is not ready for launch. For our feel-good story for the week, I think it's time we gave Starfield a bit of a break. After all, it's had a rough couple of weeks, what with Steam reviews dropping to a mixed 65%, and now those watches breaking. Luckily, there is one group of people who are never going to give Bethesda up, never going to let them down, and that group of people are the modders. There have already been hundreds, nay thousands of impressive Starfield mods already out in the wild. Hell, in week 1 we showcased one of the best, a flashlight that shines Phil Spencer's handsome face. Love that. Well, this mod might just top that. Meet the Mando Starfield DeLorean, and jokes aside, this actually looks pretty fucking cool. It's got a beautifully recreated Mando, stormtroopers, it's got Grogu, though he is looking a little stiff. Grogu aside, I think this mod really sells it, and looking at it, you get a sense of what a big budget Mandalorian game might be like. Most importantly, it's got an accurate 2-scale recreation of Mando's iconic ship, the Razor Crest. Take a look. Isn't she beautiful? And that, ladies and gentlemen, is why Starfield will outlive us all. Guys, that is the end of the show. We've got some big content coming up on the channel in the next few days. A review from yours truly. I can't say what it is yet, but it is on the way. The other thing is the Friends Per Second podcast. This week we're actually joined by Brian Intihar, game director for Spider-Man 2. We talk about what it was like to suit up for the second outing, the decision to go with Venom and Kraven as the game's big bads, as well as what we might expect from Insomniac and Spider-Man going forward. If you'd like to check that out, that episode will go live over the weekend.
I'm gonna sell this other shit. I shouldn't have got these suspicious goods. I don't need that.
And you'll know the minute that episode
whatever.
By the way, if you haven't hit the like button on the video yet, I'd love it if you could do that, as that always helps us out in a big way. Thank you as always for stopping by, and a big thank you to this week's sponsor, GeForce Now, powered by CloudGG. Australians, it feels like only yesterday that we got access to cloud gaming. Before then, we looked on jealously as other nations enjoyed the convenience of this next-gen tech. But thanks to GeForce Now, powered by CloudGG, we got to experience it for ourselves, and it was great. But now it's even better in a whole bunch of ways that take cloud gaming to the next level and make it a very, very viable alternative to expensive hardware. Let's rewind though. What is GeForce Now, powered by CloudGG? Well, it's a powerful gaming platform that lets you play hundreds of games through the power and magic of the cloud, meaning you can play those games on your TV, your old, outdated PC, your tablets, and even your Apple devices. This is possible because GeForce Now does all the graphical processing in the cloud and just beams you an image, similar to something like Netflix. So if you have an internet connection at 15 megabits per second or higher, you can start playing games through the cloud on almost any device through either a dedicated app or through a browser like Apple Safari.
I'm gonna still do the
It's been available
food.
for a while now and people have loved it, but this month CloudGG made a massive upgrade to their infrastructure, one that really transforms this entire cloud gaming experience. The new Ultra Tier membership is the first time you'll be able to experience RTX 3080 servers. This means that you can get up to 4K 60 FPS or 1440p at 120 FPS. That 120 FPS number is significant because many modern TVs support 120 FPS. So you can play Cyberpunk on your TV at 120 FPS if you want to, without needing to spend hundreds of dollars on a console or thousands of dollars on a high-end PC. That membership tier is also the first to support ultra-wide resolutions, and as someone who rocks an ultra-wide monitor myself, I can tell you that is a very worthwhile addition. That's not all though. Recently GeForce Now signed a partnership with Xbox, which puts Game Pass on GeForce Now, powered by CloudGG. That means that 25 new Game Pass games immediately joined the GeForce Now service, including the brand spanking new Forza Motorsport.
Keep the stew, trade that in for extra nanites.
Every single week. Just recently it got Star Trek Infinite,
So I have
Lords
now
of the Fallen,
6,000.
Narita Boy,
Not bad.
Seafood, The Surge, and dozens more, all in a single week. Best of all, you don't have to buy these games twice. These games are pulled from your existing Steam, Epic, or Ubisoft libraries, meaning you can continue to buy games wherever you please, but you play them through the convenience and power of GeForce Now. There is a free trial available all the time, allowing you to test this for yourself, and for less than the price of a cup of coffee, you can get a full month of the basic tier membership, giving you the chance to stream games on the fly with ease. If you find yourself loving it and using it often, you may want to check out that Ultra tier, giving you next-gen features like ray tracing, 4K 60 FPS, and ultra-wide. PC gaming is, I think, the best way to go about it, but the cost of entry is intimidating, and you have to worry about upgrading your hardware and troubleshooting issues, etc. If you want to get into PC gaming without any of that cost or hassle, then GeForce Now is absolutely the way to do it, allowing you to play hundreds of PC games with ease. You can try for free by clicking the link below. Thanks GeForce Now, powered by CloudGG, for sponsoring the video, and thank you for watching it.
Lost and alone!
I ain't going near that chair. That chair is bad news. Anybody could know that's that chair. When you've been playing war games as long as I have, you know that chair is bad news.
What up, baby? Give me nanites. Shut the fuck up. I added a ship to my collection. Where the fuck is it? Oh, the coaching. That's what I have. Interesting. What the fuck is that? Holy shit. This guy's got some crazy ships. The fuck? What up, man? What kind of ship you got? Pirate Master Rat. A-class. Holy shit. It's got really little, very little cargo. I can buy it for 5 mil. Holy shit. Nah. If this is the kind of level of ships we're getting, hold on. What you got? Get the fuck out of here. I don't want to see that shit again. 1, 2, 3, 4 parking spaces. Alright, alright. Got nice potential here at the pirate station.
I love Nintendo right where they are. I don't want their titles everywhere. No. We get so much better work with the current setup from first party. I think that's the ticket. And that's why I don't think Halo... I just don't think you want to put Halo on other platforms. I think the key to Halo is evolution, not necessarily
Get that piece of
spreading
shit out
the
my
brand
face.
to other platforms. I don't think so. When I look at what Halo needs to do, I really do feel like they have 2 check boxes they've got to check. And that's what makes it so difficult, okay? You have to check the box of, you got to be faithful to the brand, you got to be faithful to the veterans, you got to be faithful to the play and the arena. Why? Well, because there's a big potential esports avenue there. There's also a core audience that has supported the Master Chief Collection. They're still around. They're still supporting this game. They're still buying. Okay. Now, eventually, your core audience can shrink so much that they become irrelevant in this equation.
I didn't notice
don't
this.
think that has happened with Halo. I don't. So I think that's like the first checkbox you have to check. Is you have to say, listen. I made a video where I said the way to save Halo is to give it the Doom treatment. Hand it to id Software and just completely change everything. Halo in name only, okay? Halo in name only. And the Halo fans did not like it. They didn't like what I had to say, and that's fine. It's very clear. A 5 bomb from Cristiano Souza moving things along. That's a nice layup for a 10 bomb to 25. We only need 200 members to hit the first goal this month of 2,500 members. You guys are moving along. We're at 2,300 members. We can easily hit that today. If you hit it before Friday, you'll get 2 scary games. I'll do a scary game this Friday night by myself. I've got a way to mic myself in VR. And then the final Friday of the month, I'll do one with my wife. I'll do a scary game with her. You guys tend to really, really enjoy those streams. I got a lot of, I got a lot of hate on that video, and that's fine. That's fine. I love the passion. I love the fact that people like Halo so much that they'll attack somebody for saying what I said. But I do think that's the other box you have to check. Joker Quinn with a single gifted. Thank you so much, Joker Quinn, setting up the Agents of Chaos. And there it is. Alex slams it home to 26 and becomes not only the person to secure the first 25 of the day, but he's also the Agent of Chaos. Thank you for a 10 bomb. Alex bringing the heat today. Is anybody going to compete with this man? He did a 10 bomb yesterday. He's done 2 10 bombs today. Thank you so much. And he did push us past the 25, which means he's also the Agent of Chaos. Thank you so much, Alex. People need to remember Warzone is free. Why would Halo BR need to be different? Oh, I would imagine it would need to be free shooter forever. It would be. You'd have to make the Halo BR free. I'm saying you would set it up to say, let's just completely do the Call of Duty method. BR for free, annual release over here. The annual release can say traditional, and over here we can do whatever we want, right? To be fair, your Evolution talk was a bad idea. That's your opinion. I think it's a great idea. If it's such a bad idea, what is sticking close to Halo's traditional feel? What has it done for the game? Have you garnered a lot of new players? No. Have you transcended and evolved into the modern landscape? No. They haven't done that. So sure, stick to your guns. I respect it. Do it. But I don't think you're going to have commercial success. And that's the real question mark. The question mark's not whether or not long-term fans think your game is faithful to Halo. The question is, can you make money with Halo in 2023 and beyond? Respectfully, with that Halo take, I think you should stop talking about Halo. I will talk about whatever I feel like talking about. I literally today have outlined how they could do both. They could satisfy the veterans, they could do a BR, and they could capture new players. What's wrong with that take? Trot out a better idea. If my idea is so bad that I shouldn't talk about Halo, trot out a better idea. What do you got? What should they do? All I ever hear from the long-standing Halo fans is go back to basics, go back to the roots, go back to what worked in the past. And it's like, that's not going to bring in new players. It's not. You'd be better off making new IP instead of doing that. Tell that to Doom 2016 and Doom Eternal. What do you mean? Doom 2016 and Doom Eternal shows that you can take inspiration from a classic but completely evolve it into a great space. I'm an OG Halo vet, and I think Lono is right. Thank you. I'm not worried about people thinking I'm right or I'm wrong. You're welcome to think I'm wrong. Put out a better idea then. What do you think they should do with Halo? Doom Eternal and Doom 2016 shows, like, look, you can be faithful to Doom and not have it be Doom anymore. It's not the Doom of old. It's completely new. The movement, the way the combat flows, it's all inspiration. Can you imagine Doom stuck to the basics but made it 3D? Hang on a minute. Do you think that the original Dooms aren't 3D? The character models aren't 3D, but it's a 3D game. What are you talking about? What do you think classic Doom was? A side scroller? 5 spot from Alex. Lono can talk about whatever he wants. Nobody puts him in the corner. That's right. Thank you, Alex. Doom was still Doom and didn't lose its identity? I don't think it lost its identity. But come on, the constraints of movement and pacing. If you compare some of the best eras of Halo with Halo Infinite, it's so similar, bro. It's so similar. Go watch footage of Doom 2, and then look at footage of Doom Eternal. Bro, come on, bro. It's the same. It's just better graphics. No. Completely updated everything, evolved the movement, the intensity, the speed, the weapons. Why do we have to have weapons that are from the first game? Like, what are we doing here? Classic Doom used polygons for the environments. You could argue that Wolf 3D was kind of 2.5, but I don't think that works for Doom. Yeah, I mean, they use like flat sprites for the enemies, so like as you turn past them, they load a different sprite, right? So they would make front-facing sprite, pivot sprite, side sprite, back sprite. So like as you rotate past them, it loads a different image for that enemy. They're not a literal 3D model moving around. Perfect Dark laptop turret in Fortnite was great. I'm not sure. I'm not familiar with that. Lona was right, but didn't 343 try the Doom 16 treatment with Halo 5 Guardians? Okay, that's a good point, Kat. I had a lot of people bring that up. Okay, I had a lot of people bring that up. They're like, they tried this with Halo 5. If you think Halo 5 is their Doom approach, no wonder it frickin' failed. Talk about a half measure. Talk about a half measure. No. No. I'm not talking about... So, this is the analogy that I would use. Halo 5 felt to me like they just took a classic car and made it faster. It was like, it still felt like a half measure. It's like, no. And here's what, I'll tell you why it didn't work. They went far enough that they ticked off the loyalists, but they didn't go far enough to capture new players. This is a challenge that we've always talked about with established franchises. If you go too far, you tick off the loyalists. If you don't go far enough, people are like, yeah, it's still Halo, I don't like it. Right? So I don't think we would say that Halo 5 was their best effort to evolve the franchise. It just felt like a half measure, so you just made your long-standing
Forgot
fans
to check
really
my
angry,
frigate.
and then new fans were like, yeah, it's still Halo. And this always happens with games. When Call of Duty tried to branch out with like wall running and double jumping, everybody got really angry, right? Your long-standing fans were like, boots on the ground, what is this crap? Why is this in the game, right? And then new players were like, yeah, it's still Call of Duty. It's still working within the confines of what Call of Duty looks and feels like. I can just jump twice and run on a wall now. It didn't fundamentally change Call of Duty. So people that were like, I'm not a big fan of Call of Duty weren't won over. And longtime Call of Duty fans were like, this is garbage. What are we doing here? What is this? Halo 5 was trying to be like Call of Duty. Right. And here's the thing. I'm coming at this conversation as somebody who only ever played through the Halo campaign's co-op, was never a big fan of the PvP. So I'm coming to you as someone who's like, what would make me play the game and say, this is now transcended, this is now evolved, it isn't Halo 5. People cite Halo 5, and I'm like, that's exactly the point that I've been trying to make is, either evolve it and go nuts and blow the doors off and give it the Doom Eternal treatment where it looks nothing and feels nothing like the original game. It's inspired by it. You can see the connections, but it is not at all the old game. Either go crazy or just stick to what you know. That's what I've always said. You either go nuts and completely evolve Halo and change it entirely, or just stick to classic like Halo 2, Halo 3 era. Just go back to what everybody loved. Go back to the ranking system that everybody thought was so superior as opposed to whatever the heck they're doing now. Go back to that as opposed to the half measure that Halo 5 was. I hate to do this, but it's fair to give Halo Infinite a pass due to No, we don't give it a pass because of the sickie in 2020. Do you want to know why? Because the game was in a crisis in 2019 when they brought Joseph Staten in. It was mismanaged by leadership. More than leadership, they were in a... We're going to get into Lono being critical of Microsoft so people can claim he's an Xbox hater. Microsoft has a corporate policy about contractual workers. And when we read the autopsy or the post-mortem on Halo Infinite from Jason Schreier at Bloomberg, we found out that half of the staff at 343 was on a contract and they were walking out the door every 18 months. That is absolutely destructive to the creative process. Multiple people that worked at 343 that are now working at like Respawn and other projects, they spoke out about how it was terrible They were constantly losing team members, synergy. You're constantly losing institutional knowledge. You're constantly losing your team's cohesion and workflow because you're just flooding the place with new people while losing people that were previously there. So here's the thing. You can sit here like what Ginger's saying, it won't solve anything, Ginger. The leadership and the mismanagement's been awful. I'm glad they're gone. It isn't going to matter if you fill the building with a bunch of 18-month contractual workers again. You're going to run into the same problem. I don't care if they build the game in Unreal. I don't care if they decide to evolve the game and make it an amazing award-winning attempt. That doesn't matter. If you fill the building with people who can only work there for 18 months, the game will never be good, ever. It's not possible. You're working against all conventional knowledge about development. You can't do that. And until that changes, there's no hope for 343 in my mind. There's no hope. You either hire a bunch of people full-time or get rid of the contract policy. Make an amendment that's like, in the case of gaming projects, contract workers can stay on for the duration of the project as deemed by the HR department of said developer, and at the determined time of the project end, or at the determined time when post-production as defined by page 25, once post-production begins, then contractual erosion begins and you get the people out of there. And that's not studio leadership, that's corporate policy. And so we don't know, Ginger, chicken or the egg, right? Was it a leadership issue, or were the leaders doing the best they could with a sinking ship? If I blow holes in the side of your boat and you're like, and then I tell you, you got to try to get across the ocean now, and the boat slowly sinks, would you say that you were a bad captain, or would you say that I set you up for failure? Like, which would you say? All right, man, we want you to get this boat across the ocean, but it's our policy that we have to blow holes in the side of it. Why? We don't know. It's just an old policy from the days of piracy. So we're gonna blow holes in the side of your boat. And you get halfway across the Atlantic and the boat sinks. Wow, what a crappy captain. That boat must have had bad leadership. No, you set him up for failure. Go to any development team off the record and be like, all right, let me ask you something. If half your staff was on a contract and had to leave every 18 months, what would that do to your production efficiency? What would that do to your quality? They'd be like, why would you do that? Well, if you're Microsoft, it's a matter of corporate policy. A nice, beautiful, one-size-fits-all, set up your development teams for failure situation. So everybody wants to blame 343 or 343's leadership, and I'm like, this is a Microsoft problem. You got Phil Spencer doing interviews. I might react to a portion of his interview today for members. That's something we've been doing. You got Phil Spencer talking about how it's daunting to have all this content. It's daunting to have all this stuff. And it's like, okay, well, look at what happened with Halo. Look at what happened with Halo. Are you going to do that to all these studios? Are we going to have all these contract workers walking out the door every 18 months? You know how many people that probably is within the scope of projects and within the scope of all the developers that they now own? 343 is a cautionary tale. That corporate policy has got to change. There's no way around it. Halo 4, 5, and 6 issues and struggles in their TV tell me there's a lot of problems. And then I look at the fruit of Season 4 and Season 5, and I think the proof is in the pudding. While it's not 100% guaranteed that was the main issue, but if we look at the quality of the last season in Season 5, it points that issues are getting corrected. Okay, cleaning up milk that you spilled is not an indication that you're a good chef. Like, fixing problems that we brought up 2 years ago. Fixing problems that we talked about 2 years ago. Oh yeah, we fixed them in Season 4, fixed them in Season 5. Okay. Does that mean you're a good chef? You're cleaning up a mess that you made. That doesn't mean, like, if you have bad management, you have bad processes, you have bad whatever, and you fix problems that you created, do we conclude that they really know what they're doing now? They implemented changes that we asked for a year and a half ago. We need a shorts channel of just my analogies. There's another one. That's right, the milk one. This is why I'm concerned for Call of Duty. I can't imagine Call of Duty staying decent or worth playing when half the staff is a temp worker who won't be a part of the studio by the time the game ships. The issue with your point is that the chef was fired. New chef's job is to clean up the milk. Okay, that's fair pushback, Ginger. They brought in Pierre, and Pierre is the one we have to thank for the Master Chief Collection, right? Turning that around. He's a fixer. He's a fixer. From where I sit, the stuff that they're fixing and addressing, I'm not throwing confetti in the air. I'm not. To take the analogy all the way there, okay? The kitchen's on fire, there's cake batter on the floor, and there's milk spilled everywhere. And the new chef comes in and he cleans all that up. I'm not throwing confetti in the air. I'm saying, okay, well now we can see what you can do. You fix the things that were glaringly obviously wrong, that anybody with any semblance of leadership or project management would have known these issues need to be addressed post haste. Because if not, we're not going anywhere. You can't have, the way they set this game up as a live service game was so bad. It's like, you got to fix those issues first. So, Pierre's a fixer. All right, what's next? The new chef was tasked to heal a lot of old wounds, and personally would want to root for them, but also will hold them to the fire if they stop listening. That's my point, Ginger, is it's like, okay, you've come in and done exactly what needed to be done. You really didn't have any other choice. You had to do these things. You had to rectify these problems, or the game didn't stand a chance. My personal opinion is Halo Infinite is now a beta testing ground for the next Halo. I wonder how many people hate on No Man's Sky and Cyberpunk when they've been more than fixed, but then turn around and praise Halo Infinite for just barely fixing some of its issues 2 years on. Yeah, I don't know if there's a lot of congruence there of people doing that, but I think Halo Infinite is now a beta. It's a beta for the next Halo. They're going to use it as a testing ground so they can test changes, updates, modes, player feedback, right? I think their biggest challenge for using it as a beta is the engine. The Slipspace engine is it's like an aircraft carrier. As far as I can tell, from their inability to implement basic changes like match XP. You're a multiplayer game with a battle pass, and adding match XP was too difficult. You had to do challenges instead. Couldn't separate items in the battle pass. I'm sorry, in the store. There were modes that were broken for months. Why? Slipspace engine it's got to be bad because everything I just said, and internally they were considering switching engines. If you're considering switching engines when you're that far along, there's got to be a problem. We both were calling that issue out well before it was even out. Right, because I said, well, actually, my feeling before the game came out, Ginger, I have a rant about this. My concern before the game came out was that 343 did not know the game that they wanted to build. Right? I was like, why are you doing these things? You're going to do challenges instead of XP? Nobody liked that in Titanfall 1. Why are you doing that? We called out their switch from... What were they going to do? Threat detector, and then they went to classic radar? I think they were going to do threat detector, where you would only show up on radar if like you sprint or shoot or jump. And people were like, no, we want classic radar. So it's like, I remember in the beginning being like, this really, really feels like you guys don't know what kind of game that you want to build. There's a lack of confidence now in the community. Like, what are you doing with this game? And then it shipped. How long did it take Big Team Battle? Big Team Battle was the game mode that was broken for 3-4 months or so. Switching engines is needed if your staff needs to learn how to use it before working on it. Well, as much as I do not like the corporate policy of 18-month contracts, an advantage to the Unreal Engine is you can find people that are adept and experienced with Unreal, so the onboarding's faster. Does that make sense? Like if you hire somebody right now and they've never worked in Slipspace, well, you got to onboard them in a variety of ways. Not only do you got to fold them into the team and the team's processes and workflow and who they report to and what they're supposed to be working on, you got to basically train them on Slipspace. Here's how Slipspace operates. Here's, oh yeah, you don't know about this. This is how you work around that problem. They can come to the table and be like, oh yeah, I already know how to work in Unreal. So the onboarding is faster. I personally think they should get rid of the 18-month policy because I think Phil Spencer understands that games need to be given creative freedom, and he understands that creative is important, and I think he stresses that all the time. The reason I think he stresses that all the time is because he's probably privately stressing that to Microsoft. He's like, listen, we need to be creative. We need new ideas, killer apps, experimentation. We can't do that in this environment. You can't have people walking out the door every 18 months. It won't work. I feel that's why when he's saying something publicly like that, like he hammered in the Kind of Funny interview, I think he used the word creative like 18 times. I'm exaggerating, but he used it a lot. Why? When someone linguistically has like a one-string banjo they keep plucking on, it's likely because he does that in private. He's having conversations with corporate heads and executives, and he's like, we have got to change this. The only way gaming flourishes is if it's creative. Our teams, he keeps talking about, he refers to the developers as creators. He's like, our creators, we want to give them freedom. Creators. Every time he's talking, I feel like I always think he's talking about content creators. Like, no, he's talking about the devs. I think as cutthroat as he is, and as I trust him about as far as I can throw him now after seeing some emails, I think he understands that aspect of development, which hopefully he can win that war privately with Microsoft because they just bought a whole lot of property. And if all those studios look like 343 in 7 or 8 years, whew, that's bad. Was the lost potential revenue from Infinite more than tax saving from contractors during development? That answer is what will happen with the 18-month policy. Right, make an economic argument. Hey, let them stay on and pay for their frickin' benefits. We're going to get better games. How much of a sinkhole of money was Halo Infinite? Was it worth it? Was it worth not paying people's benefits and letting them stay on past 18 months? You know, like I don't think so. I don't think it was. I think they doubled down on the 18-month policy. They can't keep 43 studios and 150 plus full-time devs and keep costs down unless those devs agree to make minimum wage. Just coming into the conversation, we're talking about the future of Halo because my contention is that I don't think 343 will ever get to a place of good production and efficiency and quality if they are not allowed to get rid of the policy where if they bring somebody on contractually, they can only stay there for 18 months. And then after that 18-month period, you can't just like do another contract with them. They have to stay away from the project and the company. They cannot be rehired for 6 months. It's not just benefits. Employees are expensive and they're difficult to let go and requires HR structure. Because what I'm essentially saying is that Halo Infinite is now the testing ground for the next Halo. So if you're just tuning in, we're about an hour into the broadcast. Do me a favor, smash that like button if you haven't already. Let's set our sights on 300 likes. If you want to talk in the chat, hit subscribe so you can be a part of the conversation. Really nice turnout today. We haven't covered Halo in a while, but I'm going to give you a recap on what today's show is about. If you want to become a member, you get into a lot of extra content. You get into Friday night streams. You get into our Discord. I do a daily stream with members. You get badges and emotes. $5 gets you into all of that. Or you can gift members and provide other people with a chance to get into all that stuff and push this up. Every 25, I give 5 back to the community. So we are already well on our way. I already owe you guys 5. So let me give you a little bit of a recap. You can do all those things while I am giving you a recap. Okay, so here's the deal. Halo Infinite Season 5 Reckoning just released. On the cusp of that release, a leak comes out from a reliable insider person called Ames. They indicated that there is a new Halo in development right now in the Unreal Engine, and internally, this is them pivoting away from Halo Infinite. This dovetails with other leaks and rumors that we have heard about certain Affinity building a Halo Battle Royale. And the Halo Battle Royale is allegedly also being built in the Unreal Engine. I have put forth that the way forward would be to basically pull a Call of Duty. Have your Battle Royale separate from the main game. The main game would be a campaign. You could do annual or biannual expansions. You could still do seasons. And have the classic arena PvP. The maps, the modes, Forge, custom games. Give the Halo veterans what they want. And instead of feeling like you have to fight the battle of evolving Halo to appeal to new players, you would use the Battle Royale to do that. Right? You would completely separate the two. You would completely separate the two. This allows you to have a funnel.
Jesus Christ, I got a ton of money now.
That
My
could
fucking
potentially
God.
appeal to and onboard and get new players that are traditionally like, I don't like Halo. And then over here, the more classic traditional experience, they could still have their esports, they could still have their classic modes and the weapons and all the things that makes, oh, I did not have live stream scrolling. Whoops. There we go. I didn't have live stream chat scrolling in the Discord. Sorry about that. So that's what I think they're headed toward. And on the road to doing that, I think they're going to use Halo Infinite as the testing ground for changes. If you look at the changes that they've rolled out in Halo Infinite, the new modes, right? You've got the new King of the Hill coming sometime at this point this season. You have I forget the name of it now. I want to say recapture, and I know that's wrong. I know that's not right. 2 new maps, updated changes like you can earn XP, match XP in custom games. They're adding deployable AI units in the Forge. You can set up your own PvE encounters. You're going to be able to get the classic Combat Evolved Master Chief Mach 5 suit, the Mjolnir one. That's going to be coming during Combined Arms. They're going to be making changes to events. One of my main criticisms of the events was you could only get things from challenges. There were only so many challenges you could do, so it would basically make it to where you couldn't just grind out the event and get all the unlocks. There was one event in particular I was like, I would sit here and grind matches and keep going if I could get the stuff. But you would hit your allotment and be like, yeah, I gotta wait. I gotta come back and play another day. So they've made changes to that. They're no longer calling them events. They're calling them operations. So Solemn says most of those 18-month temporary contractors are likely brought on just for that game. Microsoft probably doesn't want any or most of them as permanent employees, nor do I think it would be financially feasible. Well, there's no way to know whether or not it's financially feasible, Solemn, because they replaced those 18-month contracted employees with another
That is
one.
awkward.
So have them be contractual for the duration of the project. I've spoken to 2 different people in the development world about this. They don't like being a contract worker. They're constantly dangled the potential of full-time employment, and then it doesn't happen. But they stay for the duration of the project. So let's call a guy Teddy. And Teddy comes to work on Halo Infinite. And after about a year, he's hitting a pretty good rhythm. He's making good changes. He likes his team. He knows what's expected of him. He's there on time. He's doing good
Man,
work.
let me the fuck out of here.
lose
What the fuck?
Everything he's learned.
Come
all
on,
of
bro.
his
Let me go. I don't
knowledge,
want to talk to
all
you
of his
anymore.
Insight, his experience, It all walks out the door with him and a cardboard box when 18 months hits and he has to leave. Let him stay for the duration of the project. Determine some shippable date time when those contracted employees are then walked to the door. Is that great? Well, it's not great for Teddy because now he's got to go look for another job, but at least he stayed there for 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 years and was able to invest in something. And then the quality of the game would go up because there's a lot of Teddys at the company. There's a lot of people in the situation that he was in. Another one will probably minimal pay, likely, and no benefits being paid out. If they kept most of them permanently, they would likely have to pay them more. Right, and you're not engaging with what I'm saying. Either because it's stream delay or because you don't want to. Most contractual employees that I have spoken with, they stay for the duration of the project. They're not a permanent employee. A lot of the times, your QA department is 12-month contracted employees because you only need them at the tail end of the project, once post-production hits, basically. That's different, right? That's a determined amount of time where we need you for QA. Here's our ship date. Here's how long we need you for QA and testing. QA and testing is oftentimes not even contracted anymore. It's outsourced. They just send it to some other company. This is where some of the leaks happen. Leaks happen with QA companies. Leaks happen with marketing companies because they send the marketing company a bunch of B-roll, ship dates, and details so they can put together a trailer. And, there's an intern in the corner and he takes a picture. So the QA thing is very, very common. But there's also engineers and developers that I've spoken with where they're like, yeah, no, contracted work sucks, but at least they're on for the duration of the project. Imagine trying to build a building, and instead of keeping contracted workers on for the duration of building the building, you were like, all right, guys, it's been 18 months, and I don't want to pay benefits, so you all have to leave. Now I got to rehire a bunch of people and go through background checks and employee onboarding and get you added to the email system, and Jack over there is going to get you guys a key fob for your emails, and then HR is going to send you a package that we got drug tests, we got to get your insurance, not your insurance set up. No, you guys are contract workers.
Come
you
the
suck, you don't
fuck
get
on,
insurance.
man.
We've got to get our own insurance.
7 years later, and this game is still so fucking buggy. Jesus fucking Christ, what the fuck, man?
We're going to do all this all over again because we don't want to pay the previous group of people health benefits. We've had the conversation in the past about, are they focused on quantity or quality at Xbox? Would Microsoft as a whole be willing to eat those added costs for a slightly improved product? Doesn't seem their focus. This is what's odd to me. They are all about losing money to be successful. Well, Microsoft, freaking do it. Do it. Keep contracted workers on past 18 months, pay them benefits, and if you lose money along the way, you don't seem to have any problem doing that with acquisitions in Game Pass. Well, do it with Halo. Pay your people. Keep them on. You see what I'm saying? They have no problem losing money. Jalen says, as a game developer in study, the Slipspace engine might be the most garbage, counterintuitive engine I've ever used by a mile. Well, I knew it was bad when they were entertaining the idea of switching from it. What year was that when they were doing that? To be fair, minus the HR stuff, says Parasito, a lot of the onboarding process is automated these days, or at least it can be. The biggest road bump is bringing people up to speed on the in-house workflows. Right, Parasito, think about that. Think about the fact that somebody doesn't hit their maximum efficiency as a developer, as a contracted developer at your company. Let's say they hit maximum efficiency after they've been there for 3 months. So that's 3 months of you not getting your money's worth out of them. What do you think they do the last 3 months they're there? You think you're getting 100% from them? You think you're getting their best work? No, they're looking for another job. So you're literally bookending every 18 months, shave 6 months off of that. You're basically getting 1 year of good work out of them. Your first 3 months, you're getting them acclimated to the systems. You're getting them up to speed. They're not at maximum efficiency. They're not at full efficiency until, let's say, 3 months in. And the final 3 months, you think they're giving you their best? 3 months is blazingly fast. I'd argue 6 on average. Right, I'm being generous. At like 3 months in, they're at maximum efficiency. They get it. They know what they're doing. They got it all down. Eugene says he's not asking them to be hired on. Yeah, I'm not asking them to be hired on. Even if they hired these people on, do you realize how many people they lay off outside the temp workers? And by that I mean all these large game companies. They would most likely get laid off anyway. I am not talking about bringing them on full time. I've said it really slow multiple times to drive home the point. The contracted workers that I have spoken to stay on for the duration of the project. If I say it any slower, I'm gonna have to spell it like a cheerleader. They're still a contracted worker. They're not a full-time employee. They have not been hired on. There is no need to lay them off. Per the terms of the contract, they're there for the duration of the project. So if the game takes 4 or 5 years to make, they're there for that long. You're gonna get a better game. You're gonna get a better game. And I want Halo, I want 343 to be set up with that. Yo, what's good, Broken Lobo? They need to be set up for success. You're not set up for success under the current setup. Under the current setup, it's a rotating door. Why is this so small? Oh man, YouTube, I'm sorry. Yeah, Chrome did something. But my images are so small. So you're saying just pay them benefits and they will give you better work, maybe slightly, but doubtfully enough for the matter? You excel in not engaging with what I'm saying. That's like when C-3PO says, oh, he excels at that. If someone was like, you know, Solemn doesn't really engage with what you're saying, I'd be like, yeah, he excels at that. I didn't say that. When they know they're only going to be there for 18 months, they're not a maximum efficiency employee for the first 3 to 6 months. They're not. They're learning. They're getting acclimated. They're being trained. They're being onboarded. They're figuring out the rough edges of your engine. They're figuring out what Jack likes and what Susie likes and how he can fit in with the team, okay? He's not a maximum efficiency employee for, I said 3 months. So at 3 months in, you're getting maximum efficiency out of this guy. And then I said, what do you think you get from him his last 3 months? I didn't say anything about benefits. I said, the last 3 months, what do you think you're getting out of him? He's looking for a new job. He knows that in 3 months, I'm out of here. I'm on an 18-month contract. I cannot stay. They will not re-up my contract. They will not hire me. I'm done in 3 months. What do you think you get from an army of employees that know in 3 months I'm out of here? What are you going to get from them? You going to get their best work? Think like a human being that's had a job before. Once you've lined up a new job, once you've determined you're quitting, once you've determined it's time to find a new job, do you give that job your all? Do you show up on time? Do you give them your best work? Or do you start phoning it in? Think about that at a mass scale. Think about having hundreds of employees doing that. Tons. They're interwoven throughout the entire company. And they all know, I'm done in a couple of months. I'm just cattle, and I'm just a cog in a machine. You bring me in for 18 months, and then I'm out the door. With no chance of longevity. Like, also, consider this, they sign NDAs a lot of the time, so they can't even put on their resume that they worked on Halo Infinite, because a lot of the time the game hasn't been announced yet. So they can't go shop themselves around on LinkedIn or what have you and say, hey, I worked for 18 months on the next Halo game. They can't do that. Now they might be able to say, oh, I worked for 18 months at 343. How much investment do you get from somebody who's like, I'm not even going to get to see this project to the finish line? They don't even get to see the project to the finish line. Man, I really hope this game's great. I worked here for 18 months and, you know, I built some maps. And I'm gone. Eugene says the reason Microsoft has this policy is because they previously misclassified people that should have been employees as contractors. Misclassification like that happens because they treated contractors as employees. Example, directly controlling their day-to-day, forcing them to come into the office. That's a big no-no. So they implement a policy like this to get around those limits legally. They want to treat their contractors as employees without having to hire them as much. The easy way around this is to treat contractors as contractors, but Microsoft wants to control their day-to-day, wants to force them into the office, wants to force them to follow company policies. This is how they continue to do this. This is more valuable to them than the products they create. Yes, but if they kept them on with no breaks to avoid benefits, to try to get better work, they would then have to pay them those benefits by law, and clearly they value the money they save more than those people's talent if they were working the whole time, which is exactly why you're setting 343 up for failure yet again if the policy doesn't change. That's the point. Is that if the policy doesn't change, we can sit here and talk about the future of Halo all we want. Talk about the future of Halo all we want. It's not going to matter if they're back in the same scenario in 4 or 5 years where no cohesion of staff, no cohesion of vision and project management, just a churn and burn rotating door of, come on in, welcome to the team, bye, come on in, welcome to the team, oh, there's cake in the break room, it's Ted's last day, come on in, welcome to the team. Just, that's ridiculous. Everything we know about development, there's no way a project can flourish under those conditions. Not possible. They might net some quality.
Wait, I can just put these two together for a fiber stew?
Because they can hire people who will onboard more efficiently because they're already familiar with Unreal, as opposed to not just having to be onboarded to your team and your project manager, but you got to be onboarded to the actual tools themselves. Well, you don't have to do that as much. They would still need to be onboarded to the Unreal, tool set that they'd be using and the work that they'd be doing, but they would be far more efficient at a faster pace. You don't have to have contractors on breaks if you treat them as contractors are supposed to be treated legally. They only have this break policy because they want to treat contractors like employees. Yeah, do all these other companies that use contractors for longer than 18 months, do they have to pay them benefits? It isn't a matter of either or. Just treat your contractors like contractors under the law, and you can have contractors on board for 10 years plus at a time. So could they do that, Eugene, and not pay benefits? The question is, why do they value it more? Maybe they've already analyzed it's worth it to do it this way. You suggested and decided it's not better. I'll tell you why they decided to do it this way, Solemn. Because it works in software. It doesn't work in creative. It works in software. You can churn and burn contract employees like that, like it's nobody's business when they're working on Microsoft Office or an operating system. Even then, does Microsoft have a great track record of web browsers and operating systems? Look at the litany of terrible launches of operating systems and browsers. Do they have a great history of quality? No. They're brute force big spenders. They don't have a history of quality with the software that they put out. They're actually kind of bad at it. Gee, I wonder why. Because they take a corporate-sized approach to it. Just jam it through. We'll fix it later. Just launch Windows ME. Just launch Windows Vista. We'll fix it later. I mean, there's endemic inefficiencies in our corporate policies that consistently has us churning people out the door every 18 months. That's likely hurting our vision transfer and our ability to bring something to market at quality. But yeah, who cares? Just jam it out there. We're the biggest anyway. What else are you going to use as your operating system? You going to try to figure out Linux? Then just shove it through. Fix it later. And the shove it through, fix it later, one-size-fits-all corporate approach is one of the biggest contributing factors to 343's failures. And until people look at that straight-faced and say, man, I like Phil Spencer and I like Xbox, Microsoft is a problem. Until you see that, you're going to keep getting Windows ME video games. Just shove it out and we'll fix it later. This means allowing them to work when they want, not forcing them into the office, not micromanaging their day-to-day. But Microsoft doesn't want to do that. They want the benefit of employee control without the cause. The worst part is they're one of the richest companies in the world, and they want to skimp on benefits for its employees by not making them full-time and keep them on contracts. Eugene's saying it's more complex than that. If Valve gets Proton working on a larger scale than gaming, which I think they very well do, Windows should be terrified. Wicked says, I'm a contract worker for customer service. It's not ideal. Microsoft is being cheap. There's no other way to look at it. I really need to know the ratio of employee to contract employees at 343, because if they have 400 employees and 45 are contracted. Jake, we have it as a matter of record, in my opinion. The people at the company told Jason Schreier that half of the staff was on a contract. Half. I think the phrase was almost half. So let's say you have 400 employees. If 175 of them are on a contract, and every 18 months those people are leaving, and they don't all leave at once. One month you lose 20 people, another month you lose 10 people, another month you lose 30 people, and you're always just, all right, new people, bye Ted, welcome new Ted, like almost half. That's absolutely insane. Can't be fact and opinion, that's an oxymoron. Are you speaking to me? I'm taking it as a matter of fact. The people speaking to Schreier were not making things up. Like, oh yeah, it's about half. I counted on my toes and my fingers. He speaks to people anonymously, and they give him the goods. And there were people that were working at the company at the time that are now at Respawn that were basically corroborating it publicly. They're like, it was freaking terrible. Why is this an excuse for devs now? Explain to me why it's not an excuse for devs. Like I said with my boat analogy, if I give you a boat and I want you to sail across the Atlantic and I say, sorry guys, it's a matter of corporate policy that I gotta blow holes in the side of the boat. And then you get halfway across the ocean and you just can't keep up with the water intake and the boat sinks. Then somebody's like, well, the causality was the holes in the boat. Oh yes, of course, but there was staff. They could have bailed the water faster, you know? They didn't need to sleep or eat. Just keep bailing the water out. Must have been a pretty bad captain. Must have been pretty bad leadership. I think this is on the developers. Like, what? Read the first part of the message. How long has this been Microsoft's policy? We have not always considered all their games bad, so what's so different now? What's the best era of first-party Xbox titles? What's the era when they were their best? And what titles are they? Because this has been in place since... When did they put this policy in place, Eugene? Like 15 years ago? It was like 15 years ago they were sued over this. People need to see the dividing line here. I am wailing on Microsoft for 343's sake, for Halo's sake, and you should be doing the same. You should be wailing on the corporation, not the developers. They probably love it. They're like, yeah, nobody knows it's our fault. Everybody thinks it's the developer's fault. Isn't this great? Talking about a company that fired 10,000 people just to bump their stock prices, and only 3 months later, they re-added all the same roles. The 360 era was the best. Okay. .360 era, all their best games were Bungie and Epic, companies that were relatively independent of Microsoft structures. What's your mic? It's a Shure SM7B. Shure SM7B.
Okay.
I have it
Nice.
going through a Cloud Lifter, and then a Yamaha analog mixer, and then a Focusrite preamp.
Damn, I wish I could have one more nutrient processor. God damn it.
80% of modern gaming is bad. You think
Oh,
it's
missing
because of independent
components. Oh
contractors?
shit, hold on, I can build
Your
more.
stat is completely made up.
Hermetic seal?
80% of modern gaming is bad. What are you talking about? According to who? You? What'd you do? Did you just add up all the games you didn't like in the last 5 months? Like, what do you mean?
Holy shit, I can make a
80% of
bunch.
Modern gaming is bad. Substantiate that stat. 80%? Pack it up and go home, boys. Comment about laying off and re-adding the roles is incorrect. Yeah, I didn't see them re-adding the roles. Where are you getting that? They did all the layoffs, and then I didn't see any mass hiring at Microsoft. And the layoffs were .80% of the new Steam games are bad. Steam's flooded with trash indies. Oh, the frick what? You think that is representative of the gaming industry? You think modern gaming is bad because, you know, World War Zombie on Steam for $5 is doing poorly? Like, you think that's indicative of the market, that there's a insane amount of quantity of games that hit Steam built by one person, you know, that never gets an update or a patch? That has nothing to, that's not representative of the modern gaming market. I will substantiate it for you. 80% of the game he probably has not even played aren't the kind of games that he likes. Sorry, initial lawsuit and loss was 2000, and then in 2009, appeals finally got to court, and the appeals court ruled against Microsoft. And Microsoft loses in 2009. So yeah, 14 years ago. Mofo doesn't play indies? Who doesn't play indies? The guy in chat? Companies have to do these layoffs even after record sales to maintain their impression of infinite growth. Almost all the big boys do this, not new. Yeah, I don't think the layoffs are an indication of problem for Xbox because
fungal mold.
there, if you looked at the amount of hiring that Microsoft did,
Turn into
in
mushrooms,
I think it was
mushrooms turn
2019,
into
2020,
vegetables.
and even 2021. They basically
And then I'll
rode
have
the global situation bubble that a lot of tech sectors did, and they just had too many people at the end. So their layoffs that we saw early this year were merely a reverberation of the hiring that they had done a couple of years prior. So they went crazy and hired a bunch of people. So the layoffs looked disproportionate. Like, I'm not defending Microsoft by any stretch, but you have to contextually look at the layoffs that they did in relation to the hiring that they did a couple of years prior. Well, Sony didn't lay off as many people. Sony didn't hire a fraction of the number of people that Microsoft, as an entire conglomerate. Microsoft hired a massive amount of people from 2019 to 2021, I believe, was the window of time where they had a crazy surge of hiring. And naturally, that bubble always bursts and they lay a bunch of people off. That's not uncommon. I mean, you can say it's greedy, you can say they're terrible, but it's like they provided a bunch of people with jobs for 2 years. Like, get the frick over it. Like, 80% of modern AAA gaming is bad. Substantiate that. Do it. Add up all the AAA games that launched this year and demonstrate to me that 80% of them, the vast majority, are bad. Do it. Stack them all up. Stack up all their scores, their critical acclaim, their commercial success, and substantiate that 80%, the vast majority of AAA games that launched this year, are bad. My man Skated Nader bumps the gifted member line to 27. Well, not just the gifted member line. Anybody can move this line by becoming a member. Thank you so much for doing that, Skater Nader. Starfield was utter trash. I wouldn't say Starfield was utter trash. I would say that Starfield was middling. It was disappointing. It wasn't utter trash. It was a disappointing game. Microsoft hired tons. Imagine if GTA had 1,200 staff and GTA 6 only sold 1 million. They'd be firing workers faster than you can say Lono. Right. You know, you clarified AAA games, not just modern games. Huge difference. The majority of AAA games are garbage. Okay. So what you're doing, Darren, is called speaking in sweeping generalizations. And the broader the statement, the more significant amount of evidence that you need. So if I made like a really broad statement and I said, most of the people in Kentucky don't like bourbon. Like, whoa, that doesn't sound right to me. Well, the broader the statement, the more significant amount of data and evidence I would need to support that. I would need to show you significant amount of data, research, surveys to say the population of Kentucky has spoken. And here's all the verifiable data and research information. And most of the people in Kentucky don't like bourbon. See how broad it is? I'm saying most, I'm saying people, I'm including children, right? I'm including people who can't even drink bourbon, right? So it's this really stupid, broad statement. So it's like a platitude. It's like I'm not really saying anything. Kentucky boys love our bourbon. That's what I'm saying. Like, I'm saying something that's probably pretty much obviously false, but I'm also saying something that would require a significant amount of evidence to prove. So if you're going to say most of AAA games are garbage, okay, substantiate that. Why are you saying that? What has led you to this conclusion? What is it? Where are all these garbage AAA games? Where are they? It's one of the best years in gaming in like the last 15 years. Eugene says they were fighting for almost 20 years. That's how valuable this policy is. It was worth a 20-year court battle to try to continue to be able to misclassify their labor. Yo, what's good, Ghost in the Garage? Won't you talk about my bourbon? I have been really enjoying, my wife loves Woodford. I've been enjoying Old Forester. It's got a real good smoky aftertaste. It's really good.
Excuse me.
Just the standard Old Forester, not the... They have the Prohibition version, which is the ABV is a little too high. Silly Lono, children aren't people. Thank you for the $5 super chat tip, Alex. Most Xbox games this gen have come out incomplete. You can substantiate that claim. See, that's a claim that you can substantiate. You can add up all of the first-party Xbox games, and you can measure the completeness of them. Bugs, glitches, patches, missing features. Have you tried Buffalo Trace? No. My wife will not let me bring non-Kentucky bourbon into the home. I bought Tennessee bourbon once, and she was like, don't you ever do that again. It's not that serious, but yeah, we stick to the Kentucky bourbon, so I don't know if Buffalo Trace... Is Buffalo Trace Kentucky, or is it Tennessee? Maker's Mark is fine. Maker's Mark is is a passable bourbon. There's nothing exceptional about it, but I think Woodford has the best taste because it's got like a sweetness to it. Very, very balanced. Hey, can we get 300 likes on the video, guys? Plenty of people here. Smash that like button. It helps out the video. You can, if you want to talk in chat and contribute to the conversation about Halo, the future of 343. We have kind of gotten down into the weeds of, you know, employees and contracts because I think that is so pivotal to the success of 343 and Halo going forward. Thank you, Jazzification, for 16 months and a VIP. I think one of the reasons I've been sort of miscategorized as an Xbox hater is I don't like Microsoft. Like, so when I'm sitting here like wailing on Microsoft, it's because I'm looking at 343 and Halo and thinking, you guys are setting this team up, you're setting this property up, you're setting it up for failure. It's not the developer's fault, it's Microsoft's fault. And if you can't see that dividing line, you just think, yep, he's just bashing on Xbox. It's Sony pony. It's like, no. I'm dying for like a rhythm of excellent games on that platform, and I'm looking at other studios like Ninja Theory, and I'm terrified, and I'm looking at, you know, half the people leaving that were working on Perfect Dark, and creative directors leaving every other week. And I'm like thinking, you got to make a change. You got to make a change. Oh, Buffalo Trace is in Frankfurt. Okay, I'll try out Buffalo Trace next. Thank you for the recommendation. Metacritic has 75 games ranked 75 or higher out of an estimated 15,000 games released in 2023 from AAA to indies. You are hating though? How? Explain to me how I'm hating. Did you watch the show opening monologue where I said Halo Infinite Season 5 seems to be making great changes? That switching to a new engine would put them into a great position, how they could pull a Call of Duty and separate this alleged battle royale and the main game to satisfy the veterans, but to also experiment and expand into new horizons and get new players? Was that hating when I said that? Not worried about PlayStation and Naughty Dog? What do you mean? Where have I expressed concern about things that PlayStation and Naughty Dog are doing? If you're talking about the layoffs, I literally just a few moments ago said that the layoffs at Microsoft aren't as concerning as people made them because they did such a disproportionate amount of hiring comparatively to other companies in 2019 to 2021. Were you here for that, or are you just presuming like everybody else that calls me a hater presumes? Were you there for any of that, or are you just here to spew stuff that isn't true? What have I said? The question I asked you was, what have I said that's hating on 343 or Halo, as I've defended them for the last hour? Substantiate your claim about me. It shouldn't be difficult. Hate is a very strong thing. It should be easy to pinpoint pieces of evidence that I have been hating on Halo or hating on 343. Just came in, then shut the frick up. With no respect earned, shut the frick up. You're going to walk in here and take a seat, and the first thing you're going to say is, you are hating though. Substantiate your claim then. Do it. I've been streaming for 1 hour and 42 minutes. So you come in and you're like, yeah, 1 hour and 42 minutes in, you are hating though. It's your tone. What, my tone now as I'm scolding somebody who said something that wasn't true? Is that tone too harsh for you? I don't have Twitter. I didn't say anything about Twitter. You came into the conversation and said, you are hating though. Substantiate your claim. It shouldn't be difficult to do. Oh, you just got here. So your claim is just something that you decided to say. It's not based on anything. What kind of empty-headed nonsense is that? You literally walked in the room and just said you are hating? What? Why would you say that? What you just what you thought that was going to be what? Like a contribution to the conversation? I'm a diehard Halo fan, and nothing Lono has been saying is hating. That's what I'm saying. Like, you just came in. Why would you just they make that the first thing that you say? That doesn't even make any sense, bro. My bad. I was responding to chat. So, hang on. You said you are hating, though. Who were you talking to? Everybody in chat's talking about bourbon. Prior to you saying that, everybody in chat is talking about bourbon. What? That doesn't even make any sense. Chat wasn't talking about Halo. Chat wasn't talking about Halo Infinite Season 5. You know what's funny? You know what's funny? Is the reason I immediately drilled down on it is because you're all the same. You just come in and say that thinking, yeah, I'm gonna get him. He's just hating. And it's like, wait, whoa, what are you talking about? What did I say that's hating? And you're like, well, I just got here. Well, then why would you say that? I was just talking to chat. No. You sound to me like a cowardly NPC who comes in and says
The
something
GTA
can
NPC.
and false because that's just what you think you're supposed to say. And when you're pressed on it and said, well, give me an example of what I have said that's hateful, it's, oh, I just got here. Well, then I ask, why would you say that? That doesn't make any sense. Oh, I was talking to chat. Okay, well, that tracks because you came in and said I was hating, which isn't true. And now you're saying, well, you were talking to chat. I believe that also isn't true. Dishonesty's not a respectable character trait. It isn't. Be a better person. It's really easy to be honest. You just come in and don't say something that's false. You know? The people from Philadelphia are Phoenicians. You know what I'm saying? Halo 2 is legendary? How recently have you played Halo 2? Like, when you go back to them, Darren, do you still feel like they're legendary? I struggle with that. If I go back to games from, like, my childhood, like GoldenEye, they released that GoldenEye version or whatever on Xbox. And I didn't last very long. I was like, it's a fun trip down memory lane, but I can't, like, I feel like Halo guys can always go back. I don't know what it is, but like I go back to some of those older games, I'm like, I just can't do it. It just doesn't hit like it once did. Your opinion, Halo Reach is the best? Halo 2 still holds up. Halo Combat Evolved, no. I actually just recently ran through all the campaigns. To me, the writing holds up to this day. Yeah. There is something about Halo. People can always go back and they're like, nope, yep, still holds up. I feel like other games, that just isn't true. You go back to some older games, I don't think they hold up as well. I think you and I have talked about this before. There's that weird window of time when 3D was new and those games just don't play well now. But classics on the SNES, that, you know what? I think that's true. I think that's true. I think when you go back to more classic games like platformers and stuff, they do hold up a little bit better because, especially when you go like late gen Nintendo 64, or I'm sorry, late gen Super Nintendo, it's like that was like the best of a platformer you're gonna get. You know, GoldenEye was pretty crap. Did you see the recent story that Rare put the multiplayer in without permission, and that's what led to the game's massive success? Isn't that crazy that they didn't even know? They weren't even like given permission to do it. They just did it. They just threw it in. That's nuts. That changed the course of history in gaming. And it was like, yeah, we're not even really given permission to do this, but we're going to do it. Alex is the $5 tip. I broke out my Nintendo 64 a few years back. GoldenEye is nigh unplayable. Also, thank goodness for dual joysticks. Oh, yeah, because back then you only had the one. You had to use the the yellow D-pad to, like, do certain movements. The area you're talking about, the 5th and 6th gen, most of those games are rough. Yeah. It's a preference thing. Like, I love to go back and play. I love to go back and play an old game, but the trip down memory lane very quickly turns into, this isn't hitting like I remembered it hitting. The music, you're like, oh, the music, you know. Fortnite and Rocket League did that too. What do you mean? Oh, just did something. Yeah, Rocket League was like just something fun they had on the shelf for themselves from... It was one of the Unreal tournaments that had the game with the ball. I forget the name of it. There was an Unreal Tournament game mode where you had like a ball and you had to like put it in a goal. And they basically took some of the vehicles, because Unreal Tournament had great vehicles, and they made like a little soccer game. And it like sat on a shelf for years. And then Fortnite, just like on a whim, they were like, what if we let people play Battle Royale? Who did it? Yeah, it was only a matter of time, Eugene. I didn't think they were going to be able to hold on to that 91. That 90 should be pretty strong, though. That 90 should be pretty strong. Somebody would have had to have given it... It's probably another 80 hit, would be my assumption. Right? My assumption is that somebody dropped an 80 on it and pulled Spidey down. Yeah. What's today, the 18th? If you sort it by... Isn't there a way to sort by recently added? It's not showing me recently added. That's weird. It shows the 15th. That's not right. Something's weird. The 129th did it. It's not showing right now. I go to recently added and it's not showing up. Oh, filter by platform. Only 122 are in there right now. So there are 7 that are currently not showing maybe. Yeah, I can't find any reviews on the 18th. Can't find it. It's probably just another 80. Nobody's given it a score below 80. Found the culprit. You playing live Friday? Yes. Yeah. We'll have to decide exactly what Friday's going to look like. I probably won't be able to do... I don't know if I'll be able to do the show with Mike or not. Because I'm tempted to play Spider-Man for, 2.5 hours or so, and then play Super Mario Wonder. Having both of those games with gameplay on my channel over the weekend would probably be a really smart play. Because not only am I extremely looking forward to those games, but they look awesome and they're scoring incredibly well. IndieWire gave it an 83. Okay. I mean, that doesn't bother me. There are people that are going to play that game and give it an 80, 85, somewhere in that ballpark. I said, I want to go back and find the clips. I said Spider-Man will land in the low 90s. I said it's going to struggle to hold on to that because there are people that just don't give superhero games high scores. They don't. To them, the best or a good superhero game is going to land in the 80s. What's that? One mixed review for... Oh, that's for Super Mario Wonder. A 70. They're the only one. 72 reviews and one mixed from Digital Spy. Yeah, Wonder's at like a 90-something too. Great year for gaming. Great year. Mario Wonder only has 76 reviews. It'll keep climbing. They had 40 this morning, so it's already almost doubled. When I woke up this morning and checked Mario Wonder, it had like 41. So they've almost hit 80. They've almost doubled the review count. Give it to the end of the day. It's a Nintendo game. I don't think they're like keeping the review count down. It's at 77, so their reviews are coming in throughout the day. It could be a global thing too. Have the Japanese outlets all publish their reviews, you know, because of time zone differences and stuff. Is it too early to discuss Game of the Year contenders? No, we'll do a whole show on that though. I think that'll be a fun debate. Because there's nothing left after Spider-Man Major, is there? Is there anything major coming out after Spidey that I'm forgetting? There's something in November, isn't there? Alan Wake. Alan Wake 2 is November, isn't it? I think is that the last big title this year? There's so many freaking games. It's honestly hard to remember. Halo Uncertain.
Got all my bitches
Yeah, so
cooking
let
for
me give
me.
you guys a bit of a recap. Yeah, Avatar is still coming too. That's right. I don't think Avatar is going to get any nominations, but Alan Wake probably will.
Avatar looks like
I don't
fucking
think Alan Wake will get a
garbage.
Game of the Year nomination, but it'll certainly get nominations for certain elements.
Not like garbage, but this looks like
Like a
mid
Dragon still coming too,
FPS
that's also
shit.
true. Forgot about that one. Okay, let me give you a bit of a recap. I feel like Halo, Mario RPG's next year. Halo's future. No, wait, I keep messing that up. Mario RPG is this year. It's the Mario Donkey Kong game that's next year. Sorry, my apologies. I keep messing that up. Like I said, there's too many games. I don't think Phantom Liberty will be eligible outside of like expansions and DLC or whatever. Yeah, Ghost Runner 2 is also coming. Freaking Christmas. Golly. Yeah, Modern Warfare 3 is still coming. It's not going to get anything because I don't think it's going to score well. We'll see if I reign true there. Halo Super Fire right now. Yes, that's why I think Halo's future is uncertain. Louis Castillo. Here's where I see it. Halo Infinite Season 5 just started. Right before Halo Infinite Season 5 started, there was a rumor, a leak from a notable insider. Ames said that they are currently working on the next Halo already in Unreal 5, and they're pivoting away from Halo Infinite. Congruent with this is also now information that the certain Affinity game, the Battle Royale game that they're working on, is also in Unreal. And it is my contention that they're going to be using Halo Infinite as like a testing ground beta for the next game. The reason I say the future is uncertain is I questioned whether or not they could or should pull a Call of Duty. Separate the Battle Royale like Warzone is separated and have like your annual release Halo. I think there's good and bad that comes from that. Your classic annual, biannual expansions, DLCs, Halo seasons. You could have the classic arena experience over here, maintaining the modes, the maps, and the feel of traditional Halo for your classic, long-standing veteran fans. And then the Battle Royale could sort of be where you go crazy. Abilities, movement speed, all sorts of stuff to try to capture the new players, the players that don't vibe with Halo. It would essentially allow them to do the two things that I've been saying they need to do. It's really hard to please the veterans and the hardcore fans when you try to iterate and evolve. My contention is that Halo 5 didn't go far enough, so they ended up making the veterans mad and they didn't appeal to new people. People were like, yeah, it's still basically Halo. They're not necessarily correct, but they're speaking as somebody who's not really a fan of Halo. They played Halo 5 and said, this is still basically Halo. I believe Halo 5 was a half measure that only managed to make the veterans mad. It didn't actually capture new people. So a great way of solving this problem of capturing new people and keeping the veterans happy, keeping the hardcore, keeping your core base fans happy, is you separate the two. You pull a Call of Duty. So that's why I say their future's uncertain. It's like the reason we got stuck on the contract policy and 343's ability to, crank out quality underneath Microsoft's policies. The reason we got stuck on that is I'm pro 343. Like I'm pro Halo. I'm like anti Microsoft. That's where I think a lot of people misunderstand like where I land on these subjects. They just think, well, this guy just hates Xbox. He just hates Halo. And it's like, no, I actually am in their corner. Before Halo came out, I said, there's just something about Halo. I said, this is a game that can really turn things around. This is a game that could bring esports, you know, the arena back to esports. I was actually really excited when Joseph Staten got involved. So I've consistently felt that the major problem is that if 343 wants to transcend and evolve Halo and have a successful BR and you know, bring the game to Unreal successfully, I think they need to change corporate policy at Microsoft. So that's kind of the bulk of what we've talked about. Doesn't Microsoft own MLG now? I'm not sure. When did you start playing Halo? I played the original Halo in college on the old school Xbox when they discovered they could use the Ethernet ports in the dorms and network the Xboxes. So I played PvP with those guys. I remember playing the campaigns of almost all of the games. I would play the campaigns co-op with somebody, like I played through one of them with my sister. I played through one of them with a friend of mine. I went back and tried to play through them all with my wife, and I just couldn't do it. I don't have a nostalgic connection to Halo because I came from the PC world. And in the PC world, I cut my teeth on Quake 2. Well, one of the first PC games I ever played was Wolfenstein 3D. And then the other one was, I want to say Spaceman Spiff, and I know that's wrong. That's Calvin Hobbes. There was another shooter at the time. It was like Wolfenstein 3D. It was spacey, futuristic, aliens.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Waiting around for all this nutrient shit is not really all that fun. And I can't go out and explore because I gotta keep managing this
Quake
shit.
2. I would play Quake 2
What
on
the
East
fuck?
Coast servers against my friends in the morning. And then I went to Quake 3. Then I went to Quake 3 Rocket Arena. No, not Doom. Doom would
It's
not be on
these
the tip of my
guys.
tongue. There was another game at the time like Wolfenstein.
Let's go see. Maybe they got
15
frigates I can
that
hire.
had, like,
Looks like a nice ship.
you were like a spaceman. What's his name?
Hey, you got ships I can hire?
No. Mein Leben, that's right. My life.
Hey!
It's not Duke Nukem. It's not Marathon.
What are you doing there?
It's not
Oh,
half.
Geck?
It's a name
My
like
bad.
Spaceman Spit.
My bad.
It's something like that. It's oh my gosh. What was it called? That's gonna drive me
What the
crazy.
land?
Blackstone?
Land! What the fuck, man?
Yes. That was it. Blake Stone, Aliens of Gold. Yes. Thank you.
Land! Oh, this fucking target lock option. What the fuck?
So this was after Wolfenstein 3D. This is an Apogee game. After this, it was Rise of Triad. Rise of the Triad. Rot. Then Quake 2. Then Quake
Holy
3, then Unreal
fucking
Tournament, then
shit!
Call of Duty. Now I say all that to say, when I played
How do
Halo,
I even
felt
fucking
like it
know
was
it's a
geriatric
Geck
in
ship?
comparison to all those games, they were so much faster. PC was just so much faster.
Oh, great. No information.
bright side,
No information at all. I can't pull up my fucking communicator. Nothing. Why won't you land? You dumb piece of shit.
Drop one down to 50. We are inching so much closer to the next big goal.
What?
300 members, and you guys are pushing it. Right now, I owe you 5. Every 25 I
The
have.
worst possible fucking time for the landing pad not to work right. Fuck!
Let's see where we are right now. Total, yeah, 2301. So that's one of the reasons.
God, I just want to play a fucking game that works right.
Nostalgic.
Holy
attachment.
fuck!
Because when I first played Halo, I was like, this just feels slow. Unreal Tournament just felt.
Well, I play games that work right. It's just I want fucking No Man's Sky to work right. Jesus fuck! I thought after 7
Brown
years and all
Excellence
these big
gifts a
updates, they were
member.
announcing
It
and
didn't show up in
promoting
the
that the
chat,
game
but it
was
did
all
show up
good
in
to
the chat.
go.
That's so weird. That happened yesterday with Angry Pete.
Cleaned
One
up.
away from the layup. Alex in the 5 spot. Not
No.
to age you, Lono, but I played the original Halo.
Game
when I
is
was
still
10
so
when
fucking
it
massive. They
released. Oh, yeah,
can't
it was
possibly fix everything.
Haven't gifted in a minute. Thank you, Brown Excellence, for gifting.
Jesus
the next one
fuck.
is the layup at 30. Thank you so much. Cool thing about Wolf 3D was that
Got me
it was
fucking
just all
cooking,
tiles and
waiting for my
sprites.
shit like it's a
With the
goddamn
10-type
fucking
editor
mobile
program and
game.
Some correctly sized JPEGs. You can
God.
make an entire new game, hence Blake Stone.
This game is so fucking stupid, man. So fucking dumb.
Did you do another one, or is that the original?
Oh, and I gotta do more
That's another
mining
one.
for
Thank
my
you so much
dehydrogen.
for doing that. We'll see. That is such an easy score, such a nice layup. Thank you
This
so
is
much.
so fucking
30 out of
stupid.
50. We'll see if we can get a 20.
Alright, so I gotta find more.
A single from the bright
Dehydrated
side.
mining.
Sorry, Brown Excellence beat you to the 30 layup.
I guess
and
now
he
that I have
goes to
materials
Eric
set up, I
Clark.
can
Thank you guys
go.
so much. Little bit
I
of a
can start
member
setting up
train
farming
going on.
all
Let me get
over
the,
on all different
let
kind
me
of
get the Premiere
planets.
set up. Set as a premiere, and I always set it for tomorrow, so nobody gets the 30-minute noti. Ambient, save. Let me try something. Infinite hit 16 months. Need bourbon recommendations. I always would start my recommendation with Woodford Reserve.
I gotta talk
think
to that
it's the
fucking
best. I've
asshole
been enjoying Old
Cronus.
Forester.
Oh, just thinking about talking to him
Yeah,
is
those are the
making
two
me
I would
tired.
recommend. People in chat could recommend more, but those are the two that I would recommend.
I'm out.
Quality of Baldur's Gate 3 is extremely rare. I mean, I don't think I would disagree with that. What are we doing here? PlayStation, PC games, debrief. I got an upload for you guys today.